main attraction for tonight. Let me see if it'll bring up, because again, the thing was not recognizing it immediately, so I had to do some shenanigans. Ah, look at that. There we go. Look at that. Okay. I muted it. Will be music. So, here we go. I got some stuff here. The game is called The Testimony of Trixie Glimmer Smith. Now, you may be like, what the hell is this? And if you're like, what the hell is this? I say to you, it is the sequel to the game we played last week, a week ago, Wednesday, called Parsnip, which was a totally normal game that was not normal at all. It was very short. It was an hour long. It was on the channel. It's recorded. It's now on the YouTube archive. If you want to go back, watch it, it's great. It's just like an hour long, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. This game is basically like a sequel to it. As far as I know, it's like in the same universe and stuff. Maybe similar characters. I assume similar mood. So I think it's longer than that first game. So I think this is probably going to be 2 or 3 maybe streams worth of game, if I had to guess from what I can see. And if you're watching live, cool, thanks. I would say if you want to go completely blind, don't look it up. Don't look up what's going to happen tonight. Also, if you're watching live or archived at this point, I'm going to talk a couple things from the store page on itch.io of the game that I think is interesting, and I don't think it spoils anything. But if you're watching archived or live and you want to be completely blind, I would say just mute this or fast forward like a minute. Starting now. Okay, so the game is The Testimony of Trixie Glimmer Smith. It's a sequel. So the biggest feature that I see from the store page, right, is that it says insight. Throughout the game, events may start to take their toll on Trixie's mind. As Trixie gains insight, her narration becomes even more unreliable. Unlike many sanity systems, Trixie's insight system is hidden, meaning you never know for sure when you are being affected by it. This system also means additional playthroughs of the game may vary. So there's those. That's the big thing. There's multiple paths, so I'm not going to go too much into it. The other thing I want to say is content warning on the store page. So if this is not for you, if something that I say here would offend you or you're not into, then this may not be the viewing experience for yourself. It says content warning. Trixie Glimmer Smith contains a few mild description of violence, horror, implied sexual content, some exploration of negative trans feelings, and some bad language. So there's that, if you care. I will say I did do some research in between now and last week when we played Parsnip, and I looked up the creator of these games and these stories, and from everything I can tell, I believe they are don't mean any thing. How would I say this? Nothing I don't think in this playthrough would be done, or anything in this game would be in bad faith, I would say. So yeah, I feel comfortable playing this now. I should click over to that. I'm gonna turn those down just slightly. Can't really tell, I guess. I'm in the options here. At least we have background music, unlike the first game had I think it was, the first game had no music, I think on kind of like on purpose, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, how about that? We're testing it live. I'm looking at the meters here. I think that'll be good. If it's not good though, let me know and I can always probably go into the options during the game. So we'll just play for a couple hours or so. Like I said, there's multiple playthroughs, it sounds like, multiple paths and stuff, so it'll probably be more than one playthrough. And just based on the time frame that it gives you on the store page, I wouldn't be surprised if we finished like a playthrough tonight. Or 2 playthroughs, I don't know. But like I said, I think this will be probably more than 1 stream's worth of stuff. Maybe 2 or 3, so. Let's go ahead and hit start. My name is Trixie Glimmer. Right. It's 2 weeks till my coursework deadline. Time to start this report on Blue Hill County Cultural Exports 1800 to 1900. I sat and stared at the brief for about 10 minutes. Okay, no more slacking. It's time to get to work. This is like full-on visual novel style compared to like the just point-and-click kind of adventure that the first game was. I noticed I just clicked into the 2-hour video essay about memes on video.com. Before I had any more time to be distracted, there was a loud knock at my door. I jumped, knocking my cereal over. Milk and chocolate covered sugar flakes split across my generic student accommodation carpet. Someone outside yelled, Trixie Glimmer, open up! We have something to discuss. The music changed. I recognized the voice. It was Nikita, my course's top student. We didn't talk often because she's kind of horrible. I slammed the spacebar and quickly opened up a website about sheep. It wasn't really relevant to my work, but I hoped it might look educational enough to make Nikita judge me slightly less. Nikita scared the crap out of me, and I didn't want to keep her waiting, so I ignored the puddle of chocolate milk seeping into my carpet and opened the door. Nikita immediately marched straight into my room without asking, and I ended up backed into my desk. Right, Trixie, you have to do me a favor. Her eyes briefly glanced at the cereal puddle, but quickly looked back onto me, like the lasers of a sniper rifle trained on my skull. I instinctively sat back down in my chair and looked up at Nikita. I probably looked pretty subby. It would almost be kind of hot if I wasn't a fucking loser. Wonderful, already starting. Great. Hi, look, Trixie. If I hadn't bailed you out last term by doing your coursework for you, you'd be fucking dead, right? One thing I noticed about the writer of these games, I wish there was a comma here. I noticed it on the store page too. Like there's like places where I would naturally put like a comma if I was writing it. Like if I hadn't bailed you out last term by doing your coursework for you, comma, you'd be fucking dead, right? I wish. You'd be lying in a bush and eating dirt because you don't want to go home to your family and admit you fucked up your education by sleeping through an entire term. I mean, that's a little harsh. I'd also been playing video games, writing raunchy fanfiction, and growing breasts. How relatable. It'd be nice to get some recognition for that for once. I know it was. But listen, my point is, you owe me big time for literally saving your life. You didn't literally save my life, what the fuck? Whatever. Look, I just want you to find me a play script, it's easy. Oh, is that all? I mean, sure, I can do that. I guess you did help me a lot, right? Sorry, it's just, you're being really aggressive, so I assumed you were going to make me kill someone or something. Tabby, maybe? You hate her. Miss Knight is a try-hard bitch, wasting everyone's time by running against me for student present, but I don't need her dead. I need to keep her around to make me look good. Tabby keeps psyker crystals in her bra to prevent lunar interference, which I'm pretty sure isn't even a word. That's a pretty low standard to make you look good. I felt pretty bad saying that. Tabby was really nice, even if she was a little quirky and didn't really notice me. That said, interference definitely isn't a word. Yeah, it's not interference, it's interference. Interference. I'm not very likable, so I need all the help I can get. Anyway, shut up. Your laptop is playing a video called Sheet Falling Over Compilation 6, while your coursework paper's titled, and I quote, "Starred Soon." So are you going to help me, or am I just going to have to never bail you out of one of your fuck-ups again? This music is like fucking intense. I glanced at my laptop. EpicSheetFails.com wasn't as educational as I thought. Fine, what do you want exactly? More specific than just play a play script. Last night, I was walking back from the library when I noticed some paper fluttering about. I don't usually make a point of picking stuff up off the floor, but something drew me to it. I picked it up and realized it contained writing. I read it right there in the courtyard. When I finished reading, I stood in silence for some time. I'd read an excerpt from The King in Yellow. I don't know how it got there, but I'm certain if that page was there, then the rest must be nearby. A surviving copy of the infamous cursed play. Do you realize how important that is? Whoa! Did not mean to go here. I guess I got here by right-clicking. Whoops. Do you realize how important that is? I heard rumors of The King in Yellow and of the ghastly writings within. I very much doubted Nikita had found a page lying around at university. Copies were meant to be impossible to get a hold of, supposedly all lost, hidden, or burnt long ago. Wow, I always assumed that play was kind of a myth. Are you sure it was legit? Maybe you just found part of someone's fan fiction. Nikita slammed her fist onto my desk with a bang. I know it's real. Sorry. It's okay. You're probably right. Only a real loser would write fan fiction about the King in Yellow. The completed play would be of immeasurable importance to my studies. I could write my entire thesis analyzing how it was affected folklore both locally and worldwide. I need the full copy. Now, after the initial shock of finding it set in, I started sneezing. I concluded there must be some kind of allergen on the paper. I was so confused there for a second. I was like, what? I happen to be allergic to exactly one thing in the world. Not being a bitch. Language. Game. Shut the fuck up. I'm allergic to daffodils. Daffodil Lane is a few miles from here. I happen to know that the lane has a lot of daffodils, hence the shitty name. Given their relative rarity elsewhere in the county, I believe the page may have originated there. I'd rather avoid going there myself. I'm too important to get mildly uncomfortable. Besides, I'm busy brainstorming slogans for my student union presidency campaign. Right now I'm thinking knowledge through unity, unity through Nikita. Oh, jeez. Whatever. As a thank you for me saving your life, you're kindly going to Daffodil Lane and finding the rest of that play for me. Good. Thanks. And there's like a whoosh whip sound. Also, what is this? Look at this thing. Look at this little pillow thing. I'm just now looking more around the room. Cyberjack cool yasts. Okay. I still wasn't convinced there would be anything to find, but I kind of wanted Nikita to leave my room before she noticed I'd left some my underwear on the floor. I mean, I hadn't agreed yet, but fine, I'll go. Just stop being so rude to me. It's not a good work relationship. Fantastic. Thank you for being so accommodating, Trixie. I'll let you get on with it. I have some books to read. Nikita brushed some dust off her shirt and left without a goodbye. According to my laptop, it was still pretty early. I guess I should get going. I may as well get this over with so Nikita stops bothering me. I found some snacks. I knew I would need them on my quest? Errand? Whatever this crap was. A 20-pack of cheese ropes. What the fuck are cheese ropes? Cheese ropes. Sounds disgusting. I fucking love artificial flavorings. Found my phone under an old shirt. Not that it came in much use. Can basically only take calls and receive messages after years of wear and tear. My phone's light flickers unless you constantly shake. See, another thing about the writing. Not only does the writer of this game not use commas, my phone's, like, apostrophes, man. Apostrophes. Whatever. Maybe I'm just really picky about shit like that, but it just bothers me. As a reader, my phone's light flickers unless you constantly shake it like a maraca. So I brought along a torch as well. Torch. Flashlight. They're from overseas. A torch seemed like one of those things it was good to have when you're looking for things. In retrospect, I should have made sure it had batteries in it before I left. I crammed everything into my bat bag. A lot of people accuse me of having a bat fetish because of all of my bat products, but it's not true. I just like that bat cartoon Cyberdrak Koolyas from space. What's this? From a few years ago. There's no official merchandise for it, and those bats were really cute. Anyway, I got distracted by my laptop for a while. Well, like 3 hours, but I got a lot of work done. Kinda. I'm in like full-on reading mode now. I'm getting comfortable. Ooh, the 2-hour trek through the countryside during the worst heat wave in a century took its toll on me. I'd never been good with summer. I usually just hide inside so I'd underestimate how hard it would be out in the sun. It was also about here I realized I never cleaned up the cereal on my floor. I did eventually reach Daffodil Lane, took a little rest in some shade and got my bearings. Look at that backpack. Phew. Hope the weather gets worse soon. I could use some rain to cool me off. Took a look down the lane from my vantage point. 4 quaint little cottages dotted the dirt road, and at the far end was the tree line of Blue Hill Woods. I'd been in the woods once before as part of my course. They were old and filled with interesting landmarks. I considered taking a walk in them once I sorted out the play stuff. It was probably cooler under the trees. Oh. For the love of God. It's our friend Parsnip. And he brings with him some tooty toot toots of a horn. And I don't know whether to be happy or sad. The horns are killing me. Okay, hi. Ah! A small, rather eccentric looking rabbit had appeared behind me while I was distracted. Before I could say anything, he held out a weird yellow string. Since we're such great friends, I made you a friendship string. The friendship string was about 6 inches of tattered yarn, seemingly dipped in yellow acrylic paint and sprinkled with what appeared to be sugar. What? Whoa. You can't just do the horn just so sudden when I think it's done. Spooked me. It was faintly disturbing on a level I can't communicate, even after everything else that transpired in the following days. I added sugar so you can taste it if you get hungry. I hope you like it. Best friend! He seemed proud of himself. Oh, shit. I'm gonna... Kept it? I'm gonna... Quit it with the horns. I'm trying to decide. I'll keeping it. He scares me. Parsnip actually scares me. Confused, I took the string out of the rabbit's paw and held it up for a closer look. It looked just as bad up close. I shivered. Something about the string and its strange creator felt deeply wrong. I shook my head slightly. I was being silly. The string was harmless. I tucked the string away into my bag. Thanks? Hi, I'm Parsnip, and that's my cottage. Doo-doo. He jabbed a paw at the nearest cottage, the one with the well-kept daffodil patch in front of it. A small sign with my cottage written on it stood on the path next to it, clearly marking the cottage as someone's... Stop. Gah. Cottage. Oh, hi, Parsnip. My name's Trixie. I'm looking for a book that might be around here. Have you heard of The King in Yellow? Wow, I love yellow. Oh, wow, it's my favorite color. Oh, okay. Well, it's good that you like yellow. The book, though, do you know it? I don't read books. They're so boring. I'm Parsnip, and I'm a fun bun. Want to come play with me? I mean... I feel like saying just flat out no is a bad idea. This was getting too weird. I wanted out. Wow, look at that. I pointed into the distance. Parsnip just stared at me. Oh, he's got little hearts in his eyes. If I hadn't played Parsnip before this, I might be like, you know what, Parsnip? I will. I know what happens. I know who this guy is. I'd much rather look at you, new friend. Oh, okay. Well, I can't come play with you right now because, like, I have to find the book for my friend. Remember? Wow, that sounds really exciting. You're like a detective. Oh, I mean, it's more of an indebted certitude. Wow, cool, that's amazing. Before I could begin to formulate a response to Parsnip, the sound of a cuckoo clock blared from inside his cottage. It was loud, even from a good 50 foot away. 50 feet? Uh-oh, it's time for trumpet practice. I'll talk to you later, new friend. He merely skipped off to his cottage. Okay, bye. I crossed Parsnip off my list of potential owners of a forbidden play. He didn't seem like someone who would own anything that required reading. I started to walk down the lane, past the out-of-tune trumpeting blasting from Parsnip's cottage, not convinced he even had the trumpet the right way around. I figured I'd try the next cottage. Didn't look as well kept as Parsnip's, but I could see some art easel set up in the garden which piqued my interest. An arty person might have a copy of an evil play just to make a statement. Hey, cool, an artist. I can relate to them. I drew a picture once. That's a good line. I approached the cottage and caught sight of a rabbit lounging in a deck chair, smoking and drinking wine. Classy. She was tall, stylish, and pretty. I was pretty hyped to meet what I assumed must be a famous artist. Either she didn't see me, or chose to ignore me. I noticed her cigarette wasn't even lit. Hey, hi. I waved nervously. I wasn't used to talking to professional artists who were probably rich. It's music, man. She tilted her sunglasses down slightly to look at me before pushing them back up. Hello? I trailed off my head, felt light from the heat. I swayed side to side, starting to regret not bringing a drink. Sorry, I don't have any water with me, so I'm a little out of it. Anyway, like, I just walked down from university and Wait, you walked all the way here from the university? Without any water? In this heat? I remember letting out a quiet yes and collapsing, but not much else until I woke up a few minutes later. The rabbit's face was looking down at me from her deck chair. She looked mildly concerned, but apparently not enough to move me from being face down in the dirt. You fainted. Are you okay? I think so. Could I maybe have some water? I brought some out for you already. She motioned towards a glass of wine on the ground beside me. That's wine. The rabbit went wide-eyed under her glasses. Oh, so it is. How did that get there? She picked up the wine and shuffled shamefully into her cottage, returning a few moments later with some tap water. Thanks. I downed the water and felt a little better. It was pretty stupid of me to not bring any with me. I realized I hadn't introduced myself and thought I better do it before it became too awkward. So I'm curious, if this game is a sequel to Parsnip, then are we going canon ending of Parsnip was that all the people in this area didn't die? Or is this gonna, like, secretly reveal at the end that this is a prequel game? I don't know. Okay, I realized, hi. Hello. I didn't do a great job of it. I'm Trixie. Hello, Rose. There was a frosty silence. So, sorry to bother you, it's just, I'm doing someone a favor. They think there's a copy of some old playbook around here? The King in Yellow? Can't say I've heard of it. Are you sure your friend didn't say Daffodil Library? You know, the one in town? I briefly worried she had. No, I'm pretty certain she said Daffodil Lane. I don't know where it could be, though. I asked, Parsnip next door? The rose seemed to grimace at the mention of Parsnip. His fucking trumpets come back in. You spoke to Parsnip? Are you sure? You look like you still have the will to live. I didn't, but that was unrelated. I mean, yeah, a bit. Is he that bad? I mean, he's a little excitable for sure, but the rose's blood pressure looked like it was rising rapidly. I'm gonna ignore the Parsnip. Always ignore. I decided it was best to change the subject. Yeah, I don't have to listen to the trumpets anymore. Anyway, sorry. The book, you haven't seen it? She shook her head. I don't get out much, though. If it's around here, I probably wouldn't see it. I didn't even realize my neighbors were missing until the police came knocking. Oh, geez, the squirrels, yeah. Didn't it turn out they just went on a cruise to the Pacific Islands because they're rich and got bored? It was on the news for ages. No. I accidentally started the rumor that they just ran off to go on a cruise during the school term. Probably true. They were rich. Rich people do that stuff, right? I don't think she was expecting an answer. Look, I was brainstorming, okay? It's not my fault the police just took that as a fact and ended the investigation immediately. I'm sure they're all fine. The police just dumped all the evidence they collected outside and left. ACAM, right? All cops are monsters? ACAM, all cops are messy. Point is, you could go poke around in the boxes if you want. They won't care. Maybe you'll find your book. Yeah, maybe. Is there anywhere else around here an old playbook might be hiding? There's the woods. They're pretty big. There's bound to be at least one book there. She faked a big blow of smoke from her cigarette. Though I would avoid them if I were you. They're dark, nasty, and no one lives there anyway. Well, I mean, there's a beehive, but they're a bunch of authoritarian jackasses, so they don't really count. I tried to go paint there once, and they got pissy with me. the swarm of fake socialist mini dictators. There's not a whole lot on the road either besides a sheep field and some fucked up magpie. No, this place is kind of boring. That's why I moved here, to get some space. It didn't work. Cyberbat Wildstar, you always used to say, space is where you make it. Right. Does that actually... no, not really. It's from some cartoon. So, wait, where did you used to live? Before you moved out here, I mean. Town. I teach there. Oh, you're one of the art history lecturers at the uni? Do you teach the Blue Hill art history classes in second year of regional history and culture studies? I do that course. I'm sure I might have seen you around. I teach preschoolers how to use glitter pens. Oops, anger seemed to burn under her surface. I was worried her wine bottle would shatter in her vice-like grip. They don't appreciate my art. I decided to run away before I said anything else stupid. Well, anyway, sorry to bother you. I'll go take a look at those evidence boxes. Have fun. She went straight back to staring off into the distance. I let her get on with it and headed over to the neighboring cottage. LaRose was right. The police had left their investigation unfinished and just ditched the evidence into a couple of boxes. Fortunately, the summer had been a dry one, and everything seemed to be in good condition. I peered through one of the cottage windows. It was definitely deserted. It was probably a pretty nice place when it was looked after. I could see the occasional bit of half-eaten food laying around on the floor, making a mess of the otherwise cozy middle-class countryside retreat. I started sorting through the box labeled Kitchen 1. Most of it seemed to be old bits of snack packaging and half-eaten food. Gross. Fortunately, most of it was so artificial, it wasn't even capable of molding. Interestingly, DVD copy of Jenny Jason's archery training time for the Game Machine 100 also had a large bite taken out of it, and the toaster seemed to have lick marks on the grill. An entire box of sugar acorns seemed to have emptied into the box, coating everything with a thin layer of nutritionless dust. Someone had been very hungry. The next box, Kitchen 2, only had a couple of gas canisters inside. I guess they were for the cottage's stove. I don't think Daffodil Lane has much in the way of actual infrastructure. The last box, labeled Kids Room, contained the only real interesting stuff. My eyes went straight towards a small games console and a selection of video games. I spotted one of my favorites, Gun Attack 2. Oh, hey, this kid is one of those little fuckers who always screamed abuse at me when I tried to play that online. Actually, I probably shouldn't refer to a possibly missing kid as a little fucker. That feels a little wrong. There were more sweet wrappers, though the kid had clearly diversified their diet by eating crisps on a special occasion. This kid doesn't seem the type to collect old play scripts. I doubt it would be in here. In fact, I don't think there's a single word in this box that isn't a brand name. As I said this, I realized I was wrong. There were some very obvious words in the box, and I don't know how I missed them before. On a small paper booklet, scrawled in faded felt tip, writing read, "There's a monster near the woods." Underneath was a crude scribble vaguely resembling a crouching figure with a woolly thick body and 4 eyes. Some kind of imaginary monster, or maybe a wolf suitor, I thought. Oh shit, that's ominous. The handwriting was childlike and shaky. Couldn't have been more than a month old. It was probably written as part of some silly game, I thought, but that didn't stop it from filling with dread. What was the monster? I realized the message was written on the front of a small scrap paper booklet. It looked like it had been written and illustrated by the kid. Squirrel Warrior Princess Adventure. Squirrel Warrior Princess was on an adventure to save the Squirrel Princess Dragon. She went through the hills and there was a monster shaped like a woolly person. Squirrel Warrior Princess shot him with bow and arrows and won. "That is what you get if you are my enemy," said Squirrel Warrior Princess, said Squirrel. "That is what you get if you are my enemy," said Squirrel Warrior Princess, said Squirrel. She drove her car, big car, fast and reached Castle Grimskull. I am here to save you, Squirrel Princess Dragon, said Squirrel Warrior Princess. She went through the castle and used her gun to shoot the bad enemies, and she went up the castle. This reads a lot like the first comic book I made as a kid. Sounds same tone. No one can defeat me. I am the strongest warrior, I said. A skeleton popped out. But Squirrel Warrior punched it, and it fell down and cried, and I laughed at it. That was really brave. Thank you for saving me, said Squirrel Princess Dragon. She flapper her dragon wings. She has dragon wings and can breathe fire, but she's a squirrel. This is killing me. They played video games together in one single player on medium of. They played video games together, and one single player on Medallion of Honor the End. Yeah. Inspiring. I decided it was best to leave before I left much more incriminating DNA on everything. I felt pretty sure I wasn't going to find the plane amongst that junk. I wasn't breaking into what was technically still a crime scene on Nikita's behalf, so I headed down the lane to the last cottage. I strolled past the sheep field. The silly creatures were absent-mindedly chewing on grass, as sheep are apt to do. It looked like a refreshingly simple life. The field was overshadowed by a large tree. There seemed to be a few shiny pieces, of jewelry trapped up, high up in its branches. Maybe it was one of LaRose's art pieces. A ragged nest was perched high up near the top. It looked deserted. This was probably where that fucked up bird LaRose had mentioned lived. Ah, yes. This house. The cottage at the end of Daffodil Lane was a bleak building. The windows and doors were all boarded up. Its interior was dark, and the entire building had an uneasy aura around it. Compared to its scenic surroundings, this place was a septic sore. I remember the child's creepy message. If there was anywhere near the woods a monster would live, it was here. I was almost relieved to realize I had no way of getting the boarded up door open. Oh no, there's no way I can get into this cottage. I am so weak and brittle. I felt a little cowardly, so went out of my way to half-heartedly tug at one of the planks. Should be an I here. Fortunately, I've never been strong, and estrogen has further reduced my ability to pull planks off of things. Well, that was conclusive. I can't possibly get these off with my weak little arms. I almost used this as an excuse to go get out of doing Nikita's busy work, but without her help, I knew I'd fail my coursework. I wasn't going to go home a failure. I will forever regret not taking the excuse. Okay, so this whole story is written in past tense, recounting the story, which again, if you didn't want to hear any spoilers about the thing that I read from the store page, I'm going to say something for 5 seconds. So mute for 5 seconds. But yeah, if it's all being told in past tense, that makes sense because the store page was hey, depending on certain actions and stuff, it's false narration can happen. If that makes sense. So yeah. The point I'm trying to make is it's a story being recounted, and then there's a chance that some things happen in the story or something, and then we're essentially it's what's the fucking literary term for it? I keep wanting to say unsure narrator. What is it? It's unreliable narrator. Something, but my point remains. I should get a crowbar or something. I think that's how people get planks off of things in games and stuff. I'll head to town. I'm sure I can find some boring old person shop that sells tools there. I dusted off my hands and started my hike back to town, somewhat regretting never learning to ride a bike. The monster near the woods would have to wait. It was a long walk back to town. Still, the exercise was probably good for me. I hadn't spent much time in town since moving to Blue Hills. It's too loud and busy for me. I'm pretty sure people stare at me too, though that might just be me being paranoid or my anxiety talking. I don't know. I was looking for a tool shop or something when I noticed a small shop called Heidi's. In the window was a big poster, all crowbars half price. That was convenient for sure. Give me that crowbar. The shop seemed empty. Hello? Is anyone here? I don't like this. What is this? Nothing. There was a door behind the counter, slightly ajar. I guessed it led to an office or something. Maybe the owner is in there. Hi. Oh, Jesus. Don't look in the door. I guess I'll just wait a while. I looked around the shop. It seemed to sell everything. Magazines, tools, sweets. The pricing on everything seemed to be almost random. I had no idea how Heidi was running the shop this way. Took a look at the vending machine in the corner. It didn't have a window, so I had no idea what was in stock. I gave it a tap. Squawk! Before I could think too hard about what had happened, I noticed a cute Cyberjack Cool Yas from Space plushie. The only bit of official merchandise ever produced for the show. They'd been taken off market because they contained lead, but it looked like Heidi hadn't gotten the memo. Wait, don't break that. You know, this Heidi is intense because of this music. I dropped the plushie back onto its shelf. A hyena had stepped through the door to the back room. Either her spots were dyed red, or she was splattered in blood. I assumed this must have been Heidi. Sorry, aren't those, like, toxic, though? Jeez, what are you, the PC police? She smirked. I think she was trying to make a joke. Also, I think your vending machine yelled at me. Yup, it does that. Anyway. Why has the face changed so many times? Welcome to Heidi's. How may I help you today? It only looked and sounded extremely forced. I saw the poster for crowbars. Could I get one? It was an exceptionally fake laugh. Good, because mine sounded very fake as well. I was a little worried I was being mocked. Sorry, kid. I sold out a few hours ago. Unlucky. I'd overstocked. Typed an extra 3 zeros into the supplier site. Ended up with 2,000 of the things. Had to start selling them off dirt cheap, but then the supplier just bought them all back. Guess they want to resell them. Still, I made a good profit on it. Ha 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 ha. Those suckers. She paused for a moment, doubt flashing across her face. She started counting on her fingers, her grin quickly turning into a frown. She recounted and then recounted again. Those fuckers made a $4,000, or not dollar, 4,000 pound loss? Mr. Crowbar's fucking dead. She seemed to remember I was there. Anyway, you want a crowbar, right? What for? You don't look like the DIY type. No offense. It was a little offensive, although admittedly very true. I need to break open a door. I realized that probably sounded pretty suspicious, so I tried to defuse the situation. I'm not a burglar, it's my door. A strange mix of resignation and confusion appeared on her face. You accidentally boarded up your own door? Nope, lie. Haha, yeah. I boarded my bedroom door up last night while I was super drunk. I was mega high from snorting mind-altering substances. Haha. It was... lit. It was, how do the kids say it? Lit. I have a lot of friends, and we get drunk and do carpentry. I think I overdid it. Right. In fact, I think she had stopped caring. Heidi dashed through the door behind the counter and quickly reappeared with a crowbar. This is one of my personal crowbars, and I need my others. So if you somehow break it, don't come begging for a replacement. I don't offer warranties. That's 15 pounds? I reached through my pockets and realized I'd forgotten my wallet. All I had was about 3 pounds in coins and a Demon trading card, which was a little odd since I don't even collect those. I kind of forgot my money. You forgot you need money to pay for things at shops? Yeah, I guess. Do you accept trading cards? She didn't look amused. She drummed her fingers on the counter for a moment. Okay, whatever. What if you owe me a favor? I hope this wasn't going to be a weird sex thing. You know what? I'm also really hoping it's not a weird sex thing. Austin reluctantly clicks to the next sentence. It's not a weird sex thing. Don't make that face, pervert. Alright, well, I was not making a face. I was just really hoping. I suddenly resented my naturally pervy face. What the fuck? I wasn't thinking that. What was it that you did want? Nothing crazy. Just helping me sort some extra stock. Usually I have to do it myself, but 2 hands are better than 1, right? Of course, you'll have to sign an NDA. Or not. What do I care? I have a taser. Didn't sound very exciting, but I needed the crowbar, so didn't have much choice. Okay, as long as it's just something small and legal. Another unconvincing laugh. I think it was supposed to sound friendly? Yeah, it's fine. It's small. It's legal. Did you just try to fake a reassuring laugh? Fuck off. It was real. Give me your number so I can get hold of you. Gave her my number, hoping I wasn't about to end up crossing any borders with 5 kilos of counterfeit electronics hidden in my clothes because I knew I'd be too awkward to say no to that. Same. Great. Give you a call when I need you. I prefer it to texting. Easier to shout. And don't try to get away for free. I have a taser. Ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. She put her hand out for a handshake. I guess she wanted to seal the deal. I limply shook it with my puny little arm. Sure. Thanks for the crowbar. I guess I'll see you soon. I left the shop armed with a crowbar, reflecting on how I seemed to operate entirely on a favor-based system these days. Oh well, I thought it was cheap. I was pretty hungry, and as I walked through town, my eyes were drawn to a small shop called Greg's Bakery. The shop had a charmingly decorated exterior, albeit a little cutesy for my taste. I gazed at the food on display in the window, and I'm pretty sure I drooled on myself. It looked really good. I really needed some sugar. Hi, welcome to Greg's Bakery. I'm Greg, and this is my bakery. I don't know why I gave him this voice, but that's what we're rolling with. Greg has sharp fangs like a bat, which is nice, though obviously that isn't important. Oh, hey, I'm here to eat cakes. Do you sell cakes? I don't know why I asked that. I knew they sold cakes. I've just been drooling over their display. Oh, sure we do. I make them all fresh every day. Do any catch your eye? If you decide you don't want a cake, I have plenty of other pastries and treats for you. An iced bun, a pizza slice, a donut, vegetable rolls, a bag of sprinkles. Yeah, get me a 5 pound, 5 pound bag of sprinkles, please. The choice is yours. I seem nice, albeit slightly hyperactive. Kind of suck at buying food, especially when there's so much choice, so I was glad to hear the door loudly open behind me and distract Greg. Hey, Belle! The usual. Oh, hey, it's Belle from Parsnip. You betcha, hun. How's work going? Great, thanks. It's been a quiet day so far, but now I have 2 customers at once. Exciting, huh? What was it you wanted me to get you? They were looking at me, and I still hadn't decided what I wanted. I've been cut from another milk delivery route, Greg. Can you believe it? What? No way! Another one? How come? The distraction gave me a chance to pick something. My eyes scanned across the cakes, desperately trying to choose one. My old manager left a few weeks back, and the new one is, semi-competent. He noticed it was taking me the entire day to do the morning run, and that they were paying me to deliver to empty buildings. I was like, no way, my contract says I have to. But he read my contract and it doesn't. She can't scam. The contract excuse had worked flawlessly for like 4 years, so I had no backup plan. So yep, I'm just delivering to North Acres since they refuse to let us deliver via drone, like we do everywhere else now. I'm almost obsolete. Good job those NIMBYs are keeping me in a job for a little longer. Oh no, North Acres. I've heard bad things about that place. They're too keen on outsiders. What a sucky situation. Ah heck, have your food on me. They placed Belle's order on the counter and canceled the payment. 2 large coffees and 4 vegetable sausage rolls. Pretty impressive lunch. Ah, you're too kind, hun. I'll make it up to you. North Acres ain't so bad. I just ignore locals and don't hang around. I think she must have noticed me staring at the cake slack-jawed. Oops. Sorry for pushing in, hun. I'm not used to there being other people here. It's pretty quiet most days. Oh no. I'm sorry, I got distracted. What was it you wanted? I remember turning to look at them wide-eyed in fear. Cake, yeah. I wanted to try one of the iced cakes with cherry on top. They looked really nice. Cake? I jabbed a finger meekly at a random cupcake. 1 triple chocolate muffin coming right up. This wasn't going to plan. They picked up the muffin with some tongs and slid it into a paper bag. Any other cakes, drinks, or savories? A cheese bake, maybe? I'll get another muffin, please. Great choice. Belle was looking at me, munching on one of her rolls. She seemed amused by my inability to buy cakes. I don't think I've seen you around town before. What's your name, hun? Oh, I'm Trixie. Trixie Glimmer Smith. I only moved here a few months back, and I don't get out much. Nice to meet you, Trixie. The name's Belle. She stepped forward with her arm outstretched, and I shook her hoof. It was really clunky and awkward since she didn't have fingers. Slightly clunky. I hope this ain't too presumptuous, but if you're looking to make some friends here, you're always welcome to come down to the Attic Mouse, the bar just around the corner. It's always nice to make some new pals, you know, especially if you're new to the area. I sometimes go with Belle, but I've been too busy with the bakery recently. Everyone there is super nice. Very gay too, so you can just be yourself. I guess we're lucky to live in the queerest town in the country. I mean, not officially sure, but heck, you try finding someone here who isn't queer. They had a point. Everyone I'd met here was pretty fucking gay. Oh, thanks for the invite. I'm not too good with social stuff, though. Heh, that's fair. Always welcome to come along, though, hon. Just thought it'd be nice to let you know there's somewhere you can go if you need it, you know? Realized it was getting late. I still had to walk back to the cottage. Crap, I gotta go. Sorry. I dropped some coins on the counter and ran out of the bakery. I hope I paid enough. I heard the pair say bye behind me. They both seemed kind of nice, albeit a little scary. Back to the creepy house. I had to take a short break to recover from gorging on about 5,000 calories a muffin but I eventually reached the abandoned cottage at the end of Daffodil Lane. I managed to pry the front door open with the crowbar, which was tough given my complete lack of muscle mass. Regardless, I got the door open and tossed the crowbar away. My weak little arms couldn't carry it anymore. Without waiting around, I stepped through the dingy portal. I was immediately hit by a wall of stale air and decay. Ugh. This place is disgusting. I flicked my torch on and finally realized it had no batteries. Great. Frustrated, I chucked it on the floor. Litter bug. I'd have to rely on my eyesight, which had rapidly been deteriorating since I started staying up till 5 a.m., using my laptop screen as my only light source. Not that it was great to begin with, given my condition. The building was dim, with a few shafts of light piercing the boarded windows. What looked like a basement door was slightly ajar. A cold and unpleasant stench seemed to crawl from it. I wanted to spend as little time in this place as possible. I decided to take a look around the ground floor before heading downstairs. I stepped into what seemed to be the kitchen. Water dripped from the wooden ceiling into the sink, which was close to overflowing. The water was dark and still. A few tufts of wool floated on the surface, stained a dirty brown. A gross smell seeped into the room from the pantry. I carefully pried it open and was relieved to not find any dead bodies. Instead, I found a small garden's worth of decomposing grass melting into a pool of green, frothy liquid. Gross. Oh, gross. What? Who would keep grass in their pantry? Poked around in the pantry, trying to uncover anything else that might be hidden. At the very back, buried under some of the decaying grass, I found a tin of pineapple rings. The best before date was over 2 decades ago. Oh, the best before date. I was reading that weirdly. Weird emphasis. The front depicted a happy pineapple mascot. Pineapple Man. Eat me, he said. Sorry, happy pineapple abomination, but I don't think I should. Besides, I don't have a can opener. The bedroom was evidently plainly decorated years ago, but was now completely derelict. A bookshelf stood against one of the walls, but it was almost completely empty. The only books remaining were Manners for Girls and 7 Plants I Saw, an adventure story. I decided not to read them. Like the kitchen, the window here had been boarded up, though I noticed that the planks seemed to have been taken from the bed's frame, given that the mattress slumped onto the floor. A pile of tools on the floor looked like the likely culprits for the renovations to this place's windows. I noted one of the tools was a sturdy crowbar. I don't know why I read that weirdly. I went to all that trouble getting a crowbar when I could have just broken in here and got one for free. The tools looked old, but judging by their relative cleanliness, appeared to have been used recently. Next to the bed was a small dresser, and on top of that a picture frame. I wiped the dust away from the photograph to reveal a woman, probably in her 40s. The photograph itself had that old-fashioned faded look to it, and her hair looked very 80s. I guess this lady must have lived here before abandoning the cottage. Doesn't look like she properly packed when she left, though, given that a load of her stuff seems to be here. There was a loud groan from upstairs, the settling of the cottage's timber frame, I told myself. Regardless, it gave me a scare. This place has me really on edge. Let's hurry us up. The bathroom window was broken, and one of the boards seemed to have fallen off. A black feather was snagged on one of the nails, still left in the frame. The water tank that was probably meant to be above the toilet had fallen down, littering the floor with smashed ceramic shards and leaving a moldy, damp patch spreading from the toilet's gutted remains. The bottom few inches of the bathtub were stained brown, as if it had been full of rancid water for some time before being emptied. The plug hole was matted with wool, almost like a spider web. Ugh, this is nasty. What's wrong with this place? No wonder it smelled. I was cut off as the house groaned, as if settling. Only then did I realize how weak the floor seemed to be in this room, and stepped back. I had no intention of falling through into whatever waited for me in the basement. I returned to the living room, where I had first entered the house. I I hadn't really looked around it when I first got here. It was totally trashed. The furniture was a mess. The floor was covered in junk, and some water appeared to drip down from the attic onto the sofa, which was coated in white mold. What looked like blood stained the floor and swept into the musty sofa. It couldn't be more than a month or two old. Ugh, this isn't good. Hopefully someone just had a minor accident, which made them lose about 4 liters of blood. It's old, though. I'm sure any murderer who lived here would have left ages ago. The smell probably drove them off. I stepped a little further into the room and almost tripped over something. A video game cartridge? It didn't look as dusty or as decrepit as the rest of the house. It definitely wasn't old enough to be from the previous owners. Some brown hairs and white wool blocked the pins, and the image printed on the front was scratched, but still readable. Gun Shoot 4. Nice. Really enjoyed Gun Shoot 3. You know what? Keep it. I figured it wasn't much use lying around in this cottage, so I decided to take it with me. Maybe I could wind down with it when I got back to my room. On the ceiling, a small trapdoor led to the attic, but there didn't seem to be any way up to it. I only now noticed the harsh carvings had been dug into the wall and inlaid with golden paint. Ah, yes. We're, I think, familiar with this imagery from the first game. Dozens of identical eyes had been watching me. I found myself drawn to them. The house suddenly shuddered and I almost collapsed. Ah! I regained my footing. Thankfully, the house had remained standing. I turned away from the drawings, decided to avoid them for now. There didn't seem to be much more to see on the ground floor, and I still hadn't found that book. There was only one thing for it. I'd have to go into the dark, dingy basement. I forced the door open on its rusted hinges and made my way down the stone stairs. The decaying air grew worse with each step. Ah, this better not take long. The air in this place is probably cutting years off my life. Wonderful. The stairs emerged into a large basement, almost as big as the entire ground floor. My eyes were immediately drawn to the horrific scene at the center of the room. Ah! What is this? Are those... 2 skulls were positioned around the chipped remains of some kind of symbol etched onto the floor. I better look around quickly. I really don't want to stay here much longer. After a closer examination, it was clear the skulls belonged to a pair of squirrels. Oh gosh. So much for LaRose's specific cruise theory. Those both seem adult-sized though, which means the girl is missing. Hopefully I don't find her here. The skulls were undamaged, with no indication of how their owners may have died. Strangely, I don't recall having seen any other bones around the cottage. I decided to leave them to their rest. Not that I'd been brave enough to do anything other than nervously stare at them from a distance anyway. With the most obvious thing in the room thoroughly examined, I took a look at the rest of the basement. This whole room looked like something from one of those trashy horror stories I'd read. It was uncanny. Part of me hoped this was just the setting of a really well-decorated LARP, but I felt pretty sure that was wishful thinking. The basement was littered with black and white feathers. It looked like a bird had been in a fight, but with who? Probably the most out-of-place thing in this murder basement was a small collection of dry cake crumbs scattered across the floor. Despite there only being a slither of cake left, I felt my stomach tighten. A deep and primal part of me knew it was a bad cake. I felt sick even looking at it. I knew it wasn't the air. It was a wrong cake. I took a closer look at the symbol. It was etched into the stone with some kind of tool and gilded with golden paint. It depicted one of the eyes I had seen painted upstairs. It was no less unnerving here, especially given the rest of the room. I think it's time to get out of here. Okay, so I know so far it looks like I spent all week running errands and stuff, but trust me, I have my reasons, as I hope you will soon agree. This is where things get a little hard to recall, but I'll do my best in the interest of proving why I'm going to need a few weeks extra to finish my coursework. Thanks for reading this far. By the way, faculty admin team, I appreciate it. Thanks. There's a loud screech, and the cottage above me started to shake and creak. Let me... I'm trying to see... I spent all week running errands, which is where things get a little hard. Okay, so this is part of the story where it seems again where she's like recounting the story kind of thing. So I assume. Okay. And then I think, again, going back to where I was saying that like the story can change based on certain actions and stuff, and the insight thing, I assume this is also like an indicator of like, hey, it's probably gonna could drastically change or something. Guess I should save, right? Boop. How? Oh, there's so many spots. Quick saves, automatic saves. Cool. So many slots, dude. Oh, you could just keep going. How many pages would one need? Jeez. Okay, well. Plenty of saves for ya. There was a loud screech, and the cottage above me started to shake and creak. I heard a long groan as the basement door shut. The cottage continued to shudder. I could hear furniture topple over and slam against walls above me. I need to get out of here before I can make a move. Whips. So, seems like there should be like wisps. Whatever. Of golden mist curled around the two skulls. Oh shit. Hey! They jerked around to face me before lifting off of the ground as if pulled by puppet strings. No! The floating bones remained motionless in the air, their eye sockets boring deep into me. Stolen, released, beyond betrayal, cloud waves, Carcosa. The skulls called into my mind a rasping voice that felt as if it is coming from within my own thoughts. Upstairs, the cottage continued to shake, the sound drowning out even my breathing, but the voice remained clear. The rabbit, betrayal, how blue starlight, Carcosa. Carcosa? The dread city trapped forever under the red skies of the Hades. Hyades? The stolen crown jewel of a long-forgotten empire. The setting of the King in Yellow, that much I knew. If the play was anywhere, it would be here, but that was hardly at the forefront of my mind at this point. The spire, broken-bodied Carcosa. What are you? I am the abomination, the malformed stock, the accursed meat, filthy, unclean. Trapped Carcosa, the ashen streets that dying slumber beneath the lake forever and yet free. Please, I didn't mean to disturb you. My friend made me come here. She wants to play the King in Yellow. At the mention of the King in Yellow, skulls imploded with a loud crack. The eye sockets split. The craniums almost appeared to collapse into themselves. I stumbled backwards, almost falling as shards of bone and tooth rattled onto the stone floor. The cursed play stolen, the monochrome prophet, the broken royal. They had stolen a new owner for the play found. Trapped Carcosa forever, and yet I walk again. We will meet again, small white rat. The skulls dropped to the floor with a loud crash. The golden glow dissipated, and as the room fell silent, I could feel myself toppling towards the cold floor as my mind disconnected. Creepy. My eyes slowly opened. A feeling of grogginess and nausea had taken over my body. I didn't know this game would be like 100% just visual novel. So I didn't know I would have to do like story time with Austin this whole time. Get a nice heaping of shitty heaping size portion of my voice. I felt my mind spin. I can make out grass fluttering gently in the breeze. Oh my god. Scary. I looked up. A sheep gazed down at me as she chewed on some grass. As I stirred, she wandered off and left me be. I took some time to properly come to, but I soon realized I was crumpled in the sheep field on Daffodil Lane. The moon cast white rays across me, and I wondered how long I had been there. Ugh. What happened? It was here I slowly started to remember my time in the cottage, the decaying rooms, the black and white feathers, the strange symbols, the blood, and the two skulls speaking into my mind fuzz. How much of that actually happened? My eyes slowly started to focus on the grass beside me. There was a box of some kind. Or was it? I squinted at it. Whatever it was wrapped in a shiny yellow skin. I reached a weak hand over to it and ran it across the top of the box. My suspicion was confirmed. It was snakeskin. My hand curled around the back of the box and felt paper. It was a book. I grabbed it and pulled it above my eyes where I could see it. Embossed in black amongst the yellow scales was a title. The King in Yellow. I stared at the playbook. How had it gotten there? It was held shut by a golden ribbon, but it would only take a second to undo it. I started to reach for it, my fingers feeling the soft skin. Suddenly a bird screeched a horrid caw. I jumped, almost dropping the book on my face. Far away, sat in the big, jeweled tree, a strange, mangy-looking magpie stared at me. I thought of the feathers in the basement. It was hard to tell at this distance, but it seemed to be staring right at me, its wide eyes reflecting white moonlight like mirrors. I was about to shout over at it, but it took off and flapped away into the darkness of the night. I lay in the field a while longer and watched the woolly sheep munch on the grass, the King in Yellow held tightly against my chest. Eventually I managed to pull myself up and started the long trek back to my room. I messaged Nikita, told her to meet me in the morning. She was still awake, presumably working on our campaign. She seemed pretty set on retrieving the King in Yellow right then, but when I told her I wasn't going to get back out of bed, she begrudgingly agreed to wait. I shoved the play into my bag and turned my phone off, eventually settling into a disturbed sleep. My dreams were dark and confused. Me and Belle ran through a dark forest. Something terrible followed us. I could feel its eyes boring into my back. I screamed and stopped. In front of me was a steep cliffside. Belle plummeted off into the darkness below. Far across the gap was another cliff edge. I saw myself stood there looking out at me. A dark figure moved through the woods towards my twin, and with terror I realized I was looking into a mirror. I spun round to face my assailant and found myself facing a gray, blasted landscape. At the center was a circular pool of black water. Belle stood at the center of the pool on top of the water. She faced away from me. A flood of black water rose up from the pit to engulf us. I was blinded by it until a bright light tore through the inky darkness. The scene collapsed into itself and I stood in the abandoned basement. I saw myself as a skeleton, a golden glow surrounding me as I turned to dust and cackled maniacally. A horrible dirty bird looked down at me from the top of a withered tree with branches like tangled thorns. It opened its beak to caw at me, but no sound came out. The bird broke into wisps of cloud vapor and dissolved into the dark night. I looked down and in my hands was the King in Yellow. The bird's caw finally sounded and I looked up. Where was once the tree was now a misty shoreline. In front of me was a spire of gleaming ivory, but before my eyes I saw it rot and decay. Behind the terrible city rose a great moon. Mist dripped from it as it emerged from a lake of cloud. The black stars of the Hyades hung above me, pinpricks of oil in the red sky. Watching me from across leagues of rolling white waves stood the solitary figure of the King in Yellow. He seemed to travel towards me closer and closer as his tattered wrappings flapped in the wind. His long, bony arms stretched to remove the pallid mask, and I knew I had found myself in the path to a truly terrible fate. I woke up. It was 9 a.m., several hours earlier than I would normally wake up. But after that nightmare, I was glad to be conscious. Nikita liked to tell me off for waking up late, so I assumed she wouldn't be expecting me awake for a few hours. My head still felt stuffy, so I decided to walk around the university grounds and get some air. It was a pleasant morning. A gentle wind blew softly on my weary eyes, a welcome break from the heat wave. Still, it seemed like it was going to be another warm, summer day. Unfortunate. It was the last thing I needed with my albinism. I'd have to put a lot of sun shampoo on my fur. The uni campus was really nice, albeit a little old-fashioned. It looked like somewhere that would be haunted, and actually was, albeit only by the occasional gaunt-looking PhD student. Not that I was complaining. Whether my experience in the basement was real or not, I had quite enough of ghosts for now. I walked past the old clock tower. It would have looked a lot more impressive if it wasn't broken. I don't know why you don't replace it with a digital one or something. Although obviously I'm aware that it isn't really your department. That wasn't an attack on your faculty admins. On you, faculty admins. Below that was an old statue of the university's founder, P.H. Lovecraft. He was a speciesist dickhead, but now he is just dead. I stopped. I found one of Nikita's student presidency posters. It was pretty daunting, though on the plus side she changed her slogan to something slightly less fascist. Nikita is your future. Prepare for it. Although in retrospect that might have been worse. There was a box of leaflets under it. Nikita was certainly prepared for next year's election. It was almost a shame the caretakers would probably take this stuff down by next week. Kind of wanted to take a look at one of the leaflets, if just out of morbid curiosity. I took a look to sate my masochistic side. Bluebell University Student Union Presidency Election 2019. Nikita, a manifesto for a stronger world. Bluebell University, once the 9th highest rated university in the country, now a decaying, ruined institution sitting at a lowly 11th. Its student body has become lazy, undisciplined, and led astray by bad leadership, poor facilities, and social societies. But I shall change this. I shall make us strong. Who am I? I am Nikita. I am the top student on the Regional History and Culture Studies course here at the prestigious university. I shall one day be our greatest student union president. This, fellow students, is my promise to you. My enemy candidates may be many, but I assure you all, among them my equals are none. Tabitha Knight especially is a try-hard bitch, and I will not save us from our class. My 5-point plan for a stronger world. 1. The library must be expanded and opened eternally, so that our minds too may expand. Only through knowledge can we take our rightful place in the world. 2. Too much of the university's budget is spent on frivolous activities, parties, societies, and trips, to name a few. This must be diverted to improve our facilities. 3. The union has many worthless delegates. The sports officer, the societies officer, and the administrative team, among others. These positions should be dissolved. All power must flow to the executive. 4. The student union president should be made a permanent position, lest future presidents veer from my vision and lead us back into the abyss. 5. We need to fix the vending machine outside Wilbur Hall. It no longer properly dispenses toffee Malay bars. Millet? Toffee, whatever. Thank you for your time, and remember, a vote for my enemies is a vote for your own destruction. Jeez, Nikita has issues. Toss the leaflet back into its box. I eventually get back to my room and took a quick shower, making sure to cover myself in sun shampoo. I was really lucky to not get burnt yesterday, given how long I was out. Maybe the spores from that cottage rejuvenated skin and left a healthy glow on your fur. Though, looking at my gaunt, tired face in the mirror, I doubted it. I finally got around to cleaning up the cereal I spilt yesterday. Better late than never, I guess. I ended up just fucking about on my laptop to keep my mind off of things while I waited for Nikita. There was a sudden knock at my door. Trixie Glimmer, stop writing weird monster erotica and open up. I slammed my laptop shut. I still don't know if she was spying on me or if it was a lucky guess. Coming! I threw some old underwear behind my bed in a vain attempt to seem less disgusting and lurched over to the door. I opened it up and Nikita marched into my room, almost knocking me over. Geez. Hi, Nikita. You have the book? Nice to see you too. Cut the crap, Trixie. Where's the play? Fine, whatever. But look, we need to talk about some stuff, okay? Some weird shit happened when I was finding this. I rummaged around my bag for the book, eventually pulling out the scaled yellow tome. Wow. It's really real. For once, Nikita seemed almost speechless. She walked over to me, seemingly unable to wait to get hold of it. I handed it over, but part of me wanted to keep it for myself, if just for its value. Nikita was about to undo the ribbon and leaf through its pages, but I put my hand on it, stopping her. She shot me an angry look and almost pulled away. Nikita, seriously, we need to talk. I told her everything I remembered about yesterday. My time exploring Daffodil Lane, the missing squirrels, the abandoned cottage, the skulls, the ghost, waking up in a field. I told her I didn't even know where the play had come from. Nikita, I think we need to talk to someone. The police, maybe. There were skulls in that basement. This isn't just some silly thing. Trixie, those skulls were obviously props. You said yourself there's an artist on that road. They always do weird shit like that. And no offense, but the options here are either 1, you saw a ghost, or 2, you, the person who reads ghost porn all day, were sleep deprived, dehydrated, overheating, and breathing mold spores, and imagined a ghost when you saw some spooky props. Then you forgot half the day and fainted in field after finding the play in the cottage. It was a good point, but I still felt unsure. I gonna agree. I sighed. You're right. Police are totally corrupt anyway. Thanks, capitalism. There, I told you it was pointless. Now just keep it to yourself and I'll help you with your coursework again. Once I finish reading the play, naturally. Is that a deal, Smith? I felt wrong for not trying harder to get the police to check out that cottage. I knew it was selfish of me to ignore what might have been a huge deal, but I needed Nikita's help. Couldn't face the idea of going back to my parents after fucking up my education and not talking to them for months. I let out an audible sigh. Whatever, as long as we're even now. Of course we are, I never lie. I wasn't sure I believed that. Well, I'm off to read this. I do appreciate your service, Trixie, as much as I hate to admit it. I'll draft your coursework for you in a day or two. You have to finish it yourself, though. I'm not your mother. Nikita was being uncharacteristically nice. Maybe she was warming to me. Anyway, you should get some sleep. You look like shit. Or not. I thought as Nikita marched out of my room. The king in yellow clutched tightly against her chest. Thanks, Nikita. I stumbled back into my bed. Nikita was exhausting. The buzzing woke me up a few hours later. Someone was calling me. I was groggy and confused, so no different to normal. I reached for my phone and through my blurry eyes I could make out Heidi's name on the screen. Hey, you owe me a job. I stopped when a bit of drool fell out of my mouth. I've never been good with naps. I need you to come to my shop at like 5 today. Don't bug out now. You owe me for that crowbar, remember? And given your obviously bullshit explanation, you don't want anyone to find out you were blatantly breaking and entering some poor innocent's house, right? She had seen through my lie. Great. Though it definitely wasn't an innocent's house. I didn't really want to explain that to her. Hey, no, rude. It was for urban exploration, actually. Oh, right, sorry. I just assumed since you were lying you were off to rob someone or something. Look, I just need your help, okay? You promised. I did owe her. It wasn't like I had anything else to do. Besides, it would be good to get outside and distract myself for a while, even if I should have been working on my report. Okay, I'll help. Good. My shop at 7. Don't be late. I have a taser. I don't care. What? A taser doesn't do much. It's a weird threat. Okay. Everyone is so rude to me. Curled back up in bed. I was still pretty tired. I had half a day to kill until Heidi needed me. I didn't want to sit here stewing on my own thoughts all day. Yesterday it fucked me up pretty badly, whether I wanted to show it or not. I'd found a coupon for a free bottle of sugar rabies in my sock drawer a few weeks back, so figured since I had nothing else to do, I could head to town and use it. Anyway, shopkeeper let slip that the only reason Sugar Court was giving the stuff away for free was because anyone who drank a can lost an average of 3 teeth, so no one way buying it anymore. No one was buying it anymore. I guess they were hoping people would risk a bottle for free and end up hooked on its dubiously legal chemicals. I knew better than to wrangle with that since I don't have that many teeth, being a rat and all. Fucking capitalist. My phone's clock said it was almost midday and I hadn't really eaten yet. I figured I'd combine breakfast and lunch. So I'd call this new meal Lunch Fist. My thoughts were cut off when a familiar figure tapped on the window next to me. I recognized Greg, the small sugar glider from yesterday. I wandered past their bakery without realizing it. Guess my subconscious was telling me to get Lunch Fist at Greg's. Hi, Greg. Hi, Trixie. Are you here for some tasty treats? Yeah, I guess so. I looked around at the selection. The triple chocolate muffin I'd eaten yesterday had been really nice. Did kind of want to try something new, though. Give me that veggie roll. Vegetable roll would be nice. I need to keep an eye on my sugar intake. Oh, my vegetable rolls come with a triple chocolate Yes. Greg scurried back behind the counter and placed the food into a little paper bag. Fortunately, I'd remembered to bring my wallet today. It's nice to see you again. Sorry the bakery was so busy yesterday. I could see it was making you anxious. It's a lot calmer today. The fact that 2 customers were considered busy made me feel slightly bad for Greg. Was the bakery not doing well? Oh, no problem. Sorry for being weird yesterday. It was kind of hot and I'd already fainted once and I get anxious about buying stuff. Greg laughed sympathetically. No. Hope you're feeling better today. Here, have a bottle of water on the house. That should stop you from fainting again. I felt bad accepting something for free, given my suspicions about Greg's financial situation. Oh, no, that's okay. I'll live. No hiking in the sun for me today. Okay, well, if offer's there, I wouldn't want any of my friends fainting. Adorable. Their friendliness almost reminded me of Parsnip, though, thankfully, Greg seemed to be capable of conversations and had an actual personality. You seem to like cakes, Trixie. Do you make any yourself? I shook my head. I don't really do much baking or cooking in general, really. I basically just eat snacks and drink energy drinks. Well, I probably have 4 years left to live. Don't I always feel the same? Probably got 3 years left to live now? Oh no, I hope not. They giggled. Don't you like cooking? I don't mind cooking, but I have kind of a short attention span, so my food usually ends up burnt. That was a slight understatement. Fire brigade had been called twice since I started uni thanks to me. I used to bake bread with my parents when I was younger, but we just kind of stopped at some point when I got older. Oh, that's sad. I used to bake with my dad a lot. It was really fun. It's probably why I ended up being a baker. Baker. I could always use some help here. I could teach you to bake treats. It was a really kind offer. I did want to learn baking, even if it was just another way to fuel my sugar addiction. Oh geez, that's really kind. I feel like I'd just waste your time though. Now I'm a bit of a fuck up, and you probably don't need that when you're already having money trouble. I trailed off. Greg seemed to see where I was going. I was worried I would upset them, but they seemed to hide it. If you don't feel up to it, don't worry. I know tomorrow morning probably won't be very busy though, so feel free to come along if you change your mind. I did like the idea, and Greg was really sweet. Thanks, Greg. I'll think about it. Sorry I'm kind of a mess right now. It's been a tough few days. Weeks. Years. No worries. Just let me know if you're coming along. Would you like my number? I'd talk some more, but I have to make a delivery in a few minutes. They motioned towards the wedding cake. A lovely icing statue of two cute mice girls kissing sat on the top. Oh, sure, yeah. Greg passed me a business card. Great, thanks, Trixie. I better close up. I'll see you soon. See you, Greg. I waved goodbye and left the bakery munching on my food. Greg, too wholesome. I expected Belle would be at the Attic Mouse bar down the road, and I figured I may as well give her a visit to waste some time before I met Heidi later. If just to show I wasn't ignoring her offer. The Attic Mouse had a warm, friendly atmosphere, and I was relieved to see their drinks were super cheap. By bar standards, at least. I walked inside and found it was pretty quiet. Understandable, really, given the time of day. Belle sat in a corner by herself with several glasses of alcohol in front of her. I'm not really into alcohol, so I dropped 10 pounds on the bar to pay for my pint of cola and walked over to her. Hey. Hey, Trixie. Nice to see you came along. Sadly, no one else has. Aha. Well, we pre-ordered the drink, so more for me, I guess. She downed one of her shots. Oh, I mean, I'm not good with groups anyway. Do a lot of people usually show up? Well, there's Greg, who you've met, my pal LaRose, an artist down Daffodil Lane way. Wait, I know LaRose, the tall rabbit, right? Huh, no way. Nice lady. She hasn't turned up recently, though. She's, well, she ain't been feeling great recently. It's hard for her to find the energy to hang out, you know? There's also Heidi. She's cool. A little scary, but a great gal. She runs a shop here in town. Yeah, I, met her yesterday, too. She's more than a little scary, though. She's all bark and no bite. Doesn't get on so well with LaRose. They almost ended up glassing each other a few weeks back when Heidi said neopunk biker art was better than neopunk bohemian art. I don't know what either of those are, so I didn't think it was my place to mediate, you know? Jeez. It's weird how I met literally all of you by chance yesterday. That is weird. We all know each other, and now we all know you too. She took another sip of her drink. I copied her and sipped my cola. I felt a little awkward and just ended up staring at the TV in the corner for a bit. The Prime Minister was giving a speech about I get it. It's like the Brexit thing, but I don't know how sheep. You can't easily say sheepzit. Sheepzit. Terrible. I rolled my eyes. I was getting pretty tired of hearing about it nonstop for the last 2 years. This is getting ridiculous. Leaving the Northwest Union just because its official sheep mascot bit the Prime Minister at 4 years old. So petty. Exactly. If she didn't want her kid getting bit, she shouldn't have let her roll around in grass, then go pet a sheep. We both shook our heads and tutted. So you're like a milk woman, right? Sounds kind of fun, driving around and seeing places all over. I don't get out much, so nah, it sucks. Oh, not much traveling either anymore, I'm afraid. Oh, of course. When you were talking to Greg yesterday, you said you only go to North Acres now, right? North Acres, yeah. Nasty place. Why? She squinted at me quizzically. Oh, it's just like I study local history and stuff. North Acres is meant to be really good for that, right? It's kind of old-fashioned and remote despite only being a few miles from town. I wanted to take a look around there, but it's kind of hard to get to. I couldn't find any buses that go that way, and no way am I paying for a taxi. They shoot down every proposal for a bus route. I think I might be the only outside interaction they get besides the postman. They're a weird lot. I try not to spend too much time there. She shrugged and took another drink. But hey, if you want to have a peep around here, you're welcome to come along tomorrow morning. Oh, wow, I mean, if it isn't an issue. Not at all. I could use company. Not much to do on the job, and the boss says if he catches me reading magazines at the wheel again, he'll fire me. Belle's phone buzzed. She took a look at it inside. Ugh, speaking of the great dictator. I gotta get going. Apparently sheep have escaped from Daffodil Lane. Probably that kid opening the gate because it looked sad being closed again. Is it fucking Parsnip again? Probably is Parsnip. I mean, with the fucking 2D horns going off. She shook her head and downed the rest of her drink. I suspected I knew who she was talking about. Oh no. Better stick around, I still have some stuff to do in town. Well, feel free to shoot me a message tomorrow morning if you're up for a really dull adventure. I kept reading that as ready dull. She chuckled and added her number to my phone. Wow, everyone really wants to hang out with me. If this was a lame dating game, I'd assume they wanted to get in my pants. Huh. Fortunately, I keep my life very PG. Extremely PG. This game is PG. Hopefully. I wasn't sure how much I believed that given recent events, but slight hope nothing involving Nikita and her stupid play would escalate beyond comic mischief and some rude language was reassuring. This is a great fourth wall breaking. I don't play enough video games to get that joke, but haha, sure. I hadn't meant to say that out loud. Anyway, I better get going. See you around, Trix. She strolled off as calm as ever. I finished my drink and sat around for a while, glad today had been full of distractions. I still wasn't ready to think about yesterday's events. Eventually I knew it was time to head to Heidi's. I didn't want to be late, she apparently had a taser. I have to admit, I was slacking on my way to the Heidi's shop. On my way to the Heidi's shop. Drinking a pint of cola right before walking wasn't a great decision on my part. Sorry I'm late, I'm here now. Excuse me. Please, don't tase me, bro. Trixie, I was about to call you. Good. Thank you for coming. I was worried you might be a deal breaker. And then I would have to tase you. I don't think that was a joke. Why do you have a taser anyway? Is that even legal? Probably. It's for self-defense, right? And good company on lonely nights. Okay, enough fucking around. We have a lot of work to do. PG game. She bundled me into her office. It's pretty small and completely cluttered with cardboard boxes. Oh, okay. Trixie, you're going to help me with my side business, spring cleaning. We're going to go through these boxes and sort the junk into these two other much bigger boxes. This is the stuff to be burned box. She kicked a generic wooden crate soaked in petrol. I chose not to question her health and safety practices and just tried to avoid breathing too much. And this is the stuff that might actually be worth money box. She tapped a sturdy metal safe. Okay, so what kind of stuff are we sorting through? Like, extra stock or what? Just like gold antiques and books, nothing too important. Let's just get on with it, okay? I want to close on time. She dropped the cardboard box full of junk onto the desk in front of me. I started rooting around in it and found it was full trash, mostly dusty books falling apart at the seams and broken old antiques. But the more I looked, the more it became clear some of the stuff might actually be valuable. I pulled a golden bracelet out of the box and blew the dust off of it. Engraved onto it was a strange fish-like face with a single opal eye that seemed to stare at me. Jeez, how much money do you make selling this stuff? Heck, where do you even get this stuff from in the first place? This looks expensive. Heidi shot me an annoyed look. Don't question it. So, a lot, and illegally. Got it. I chuckled to myself. Heidi seemed unamused. I carefully put the bracelet into the safe. As I sorted through the box, it became pretty clear there was a theme to Heidi's stuff. It was all in some way arcane. Old magic books, spooky scrolls, and even what seemed to be occult apparel, like the bracelet I'd found earlier. Heidi, do you believe in any of this stuff? Monsters and magic, I mean? She looked at me for a moment, somewhat puzzled. Of course not. I've never seen any monsters or magic. But like, don't you ever get tempted to try out any of the spells in these books? I opened up one of the thick, dusty tomes and skimmed through it, looking for an example. Before I could read anything, Heidi slammed it shut on my fingers. Hey, ow! Okay, new rule. You don't look at anything for any longer than it takes to work out if it's valuable. Got it? I nodded. No, I don't believe in this stuff, but... Look, I'd like to keep it that way, okay? I've met people who like this crap and it messes with their heads. This stuff is best left ignored, okay? Ignorance is bliss. She got back to work. I envied her lack of belief. I hoped with enough time my brain could fully convince me that what I saw the night before was just a heat, dehydration, and spore-fueled hallucination. But I think even then I knew the truth. Heidi seemed to know that we were only inches from madness and intended to never test that distance. We sorted through the boxes for a while. Most of the stuff was pretty uninteresting, but a few things caught my eye. A copper amulet, a shard of amber with a strange ancient bug frozen inside of it, some long-distant ancestor to a modern bee perhaps, a manuscript detailing a ritual to summon rain, and at one point a Dungeons and Fungens rulebook with Heidi's name on it, which was quickly grabbed off of me and stuffed into Heidi's desk drawer. I was getting pretty bored. Some of the stuff looked really interesting, but I knew Heidi would snap at me if I tried to look into any of it. Fortunately, there was a sound outside. Someone had walked into the shop. Heidi synced over to the peephole in her office door suspiciously. Ah, it's a customer. Trixie, you take care of this stuff. I'll go deal with this schmuck. She walked into the shop, snapping at the customer for looking at something too strangely before the door closed behind her. Picked up one of the last items in the box, a small book titled Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Most of it seemed to be missing, but there were a few pages left. Sounded kind of interesting. Like, part of me wants to read it, but that seems like that's a bad option. What was it called? Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Now we're playing safe. I didn't want to risk Heidi's ire again and toss the book into the trash box. Plus, I don't want to get tased, you know? It wasn't long before Heidi was back. Heh, sorry about that. Customers are a pain. Huh? You finished? Nice one. She looked genuinely pleased with me. You know, you didn't do a bad job. She seemed to think for a moment. Trixie, how would you like to help me out again? For money, I mean, your crowbar debt is paid. Oh, wow. I've never had a job before. Maybe? I wanted to help Heidi, if just to satisfy my curiosity about her strange inventory. But I also wanted to hang out with Greg or Belle. I wasn't sure if there would be time for that too. Oh, I gotta like make a fucking choice here. Okay, we go Heidi, we go Greg, or we go Belle. Who do I like more? I mean, because I'm pretty sure I'm going back to the store page front, and it was basically like there's a couple different endings or whatever, but like I think there's the three people you can spend your day with is like Heidi, Greg, and Belle, and that I assume changes the story as well. You know what? For our first run here, let's stick with Heidi. Take the job. Yeah, I guess that might be fun. I could use the money to buy more bat stuff. Bat stuff? Okay, sure. Tell you what, come along tomorrow at like 3 o'clock. You're gonna help me out. Plenty more work to do. She tapped one of the unsorted boxes. Cool. Okay, Heidi, thank you. Right, I better start closing up. Thanks for your help. I'll see you, Trixie. I wished her a good evening and started to walk home to my bed. I could definitely use some sleep. I was walking past Wilbur Hall on my way to bed when I noticed Nikita fumbling through the vending machine. She was trying to pull a bar of toffee millet out of its slot, but it seemed to be stuck. She gave the machine a frustrated kick and the snack fell out. As she picked it up, she noticed me watching her. Oh, hello, Trixie. I'm just on my way back to my room. I have to finish reading the... She seemed almost scared to say it. The King in Yellow. Yes, The King in Yellow. Nikita seemed skittish. Her usually tidy clothing was scuffy, her fur unbrushed, and her eyes flittered around the hallway frantically. Her constant fidgeting made her look eager to finish talking to me and get back to her room. It was like she'd just been for a spin in a tumbler dryer full of caffeine. Are you okay, Nikita? You're kind of a mess. Have you been reading all day or something? Ah, yes I have. All day, yes. Last night too. Preliminary research. Has been a illuminating read thus far. I need to read a little bit more, but... Trixie. She grabbed me by the shoulders, pulling me close. I looked down at her scared eyes. I knew all too much about the reputation of the King in Yellow. I didn't want to believe it could have done this to Nikita, but this wasn't right. Trixie, I need to make some notes and I need to double check, read between the lines, but no, never mind. We can discuss this later when I'm certain. She let go of me. I better get back to my room. Yes. Good night, Trixie. She did a sort of shaky, fast walk away from me towards the accommodation block. Shaky fast. Bye, Nikita. I was scared. Could this really have been the work of that play? I shook my head. This has to be sleep deprivation. She'd barely slept in weeks with her campaign planning and coursework. And yet, I could remember how the book had drawn me to it when I held it. I'd wanted to pull the golden ribbon and read it. Regardless of its contents, the rumors around that accursed play were more than enough to make it maddening to behold. I didn't like Nikita, but I was genuinely worried about her health. I figured I'd let her finish reading and get some sleep. Then I could always make sure she was okay in the morning. I eventually got back to my room and collapsed onto my bed. It had been a busy day. I was playing to muck about on my laptop until I got tired enough to sleep, but it was on my desk. I couldn't be bothered to get back out of bed. I remembered the book about ghosts I'd gotten a hold of a few weeks back. It was probably still on the floor next to my bed. I remembered it being pretty tacky. Peering over the edge, I could see it was. After my sighting in the basement, I thought it might be relevant. If I was going to stay awake a little longer, I thought I might as well use my time productively. Before I could reach for my book, my phone buzzed. My phone buzzed. Tabby had sent me a message. That was unexpected. I don't speak to Tabby often, which is sad because I kind of wish we were friends, but I don't think she really notices me. I used to think she was kind of weird, but after last week, I have to admit, I'm taking her more seriously. Wasn't sure if I could handle a conversation with her right then, but I did think it would be kind of nice to talk to someone. Hiya! Tabitha Knight. Hey Trixie, one of my psycho crystals, the green spiral aligned one, went missing. I was wondering if you've seen that anywhere. It's like a JO crystal. Oh shit, no, fuck. Trizzy. Hey, sorry Tabby, I haven't seen it. When did it go missing? No worries. Somewhen today, I think. Oh no, I'll keep an eye out for it. Somewhen today. I like that. Somewhen. When did it happen? Somewhen. It's when you don't know when. It's good. It's good. Hey, Tabby, do you know the King in Yellow? Sorry not to bug you. Just wondering if you're not busy. Oh, yes, the infamous haunted play. I know it. Can't say I've read it, though. Why? You researching it or something? I heard that's generally a bad idea. Not to discourage you, but it would be a great study for next year. No, I'm not going to read it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't even exist anymore. I was just wondering if you knew much about it. You're a good student. Well, I have to be if I want to be student union president next year, right? I read a few books on it in the uni library. Maybe you could get them out. The notes of Grand Inquisitor Wilhelm were really good for obvious reasons. Anyway, I got to get some sleep. I'm going to Wolffest South tomorrow. Wolffest South? Tomorrow in town. Going to be super hot in my costume, lol. Not in that way, you cheeky rat. Maybe you should come to a WoolCon with me somewhen. Somewhen. If you're into that. Maybe. I'll let you get to sleep. Thanks, Tabby. I'll look out for your crystal. Find that crystal. Tabby's nice, but I don't really know if she likes me or not. I wasn't super keen on the idea of going to WoolCon. Dressing as a sheep and whiffing or whatever. Oh, no. Whiffing? Or whatever they do at these cons didn't sound super appealing. PG. Regardless, it was time to sleep. Doot 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 doot. I had a surprisingly pleasant, if a somewhat strange dream. I was a clerk marrying Nikita to a giant toffee millet bar, and then I married the entire cast of Cyberdrat Cool Yass from Mars. Parsnip was there, jumping up and down, throwing confetti. Cursed. Let's not go into it. Regardless, it was a welcome back from the horrid dreams I'd had the night before. I woke up feeling a lot better. It was pretty early in the morning, but I sent Nikita a message anyway. I didn't get a response and assumed she must have finally gone to sleep. I could check again tonight, and if she was still MIA, I could let security or the campus doctor know she was acting funny. That said, I knew she wouldn't do the same for me. I lazed around in bed for a while until I felt too gross to not shower any longer. I know that feeling. Once I was eventually somewhat functional, I decided to work out what to do. I remember I'd promised to help Heidi again. I was hoping I wouldn't regret signing up to boring junk sorting, but I couldn't help but be intrigued by her side business, whatever it was. And some of the stuff she had might have been cool to look at, even if it was just tat. With last night's encounter with Nikita all but forgotten, I made myself somewhat presentable and headed to town. Heidi seemed somewhat surprised to see me. Good of you to show up, Trixie. Ready for a day of hard work? She grinned and bundled me into her office. I wasn't ready for a day of hard work. I never am. I was tired after about half an hour. Lifting stuff is a lot of effort. I persevered through, and after a few hours, we were pretty much done. I noticed Heidi's shop didn't get much traffic, though with the amount of money her secret stock was worth, I wasn't sure that was an issue. I was about to comment on the lack of customers when we heard the shop's front door open. A customer had arrived. Heidi snuck over to the office door and peered through the spy hole. Ah, of course. She opened the door and beckoned me into the shop. A familiar face was waiting for us. Hey, Greg. We were just in the back, not fucking each other or anything. She forced a laugh out as she closed the door behind us. Greg giggled. I was a little offended. I don't think I'm really the fucking kind of person. Unless it involved monsters or Cyberbat Razor, maybe. Hi, friends. You here for those boxes? You bet. Is it still okay? I don't want to cause any trouble if you need them. Nah, take as many as you need. Wait, what so you need them for anyway? What so? What do you need them? You making a delivery or something? Oh, it's for boxing things. I'm going to put things in the box. Their eyes flitted back and forth. I'm boxing the wedding cake I made for those 2 mice. The cake's going in the box. Yep. Makes sense. It certainly did. Anyway, I better get back and box that cake. See you later, pals. Later, dude. Have a nice time boxing the cake. Greg hurried out to the shop. The cardboard box held above their head. They looked pretty ridiculous. Okay, Trixie. Got a few things left to go through before we're done. Let's not waste any time. It took longer than I would have liked, but we eventually finished sorting for the day. I almost collapsed, exhausted. I was amazed at quite how much junk Heidi had collected. I still really wanted to find out where the stuff came from, for educational reasons, obviously. It's enough for today. Great work. She pulled a wad of money from her pocket. 75 pounds. How's that sound? I can buy a lot of tat with that. Cool. I'd never been paid for a job before. Besides, the time I got given 10 pounds to throw a rock through someone's window. Though that was less a job and more a paid act of vandalism, like being a soldier. Oh hey, you like whiskey, Trixie? Oh, I mean, I haven't tried it. I don't drink often. I'm pretty bad with alcohol. Besides, I better head back to my room and get some sleep, you know? Well, feel free to have a bottle anyway. I have tons of stuff. Think of it as a work benefit. Oh, sure then. Might be tasty. Knock yourself out. I mean, don't. Take it slow. Alcohol. Know your limits. She opened her own bottle and downed half of it. I thanked her and headed home. I drank the entire bottle within 10 minutes of leaving when my phone rang. Oh, great. Trixie! Something's come up. Can you come help me out again? Fortunately, I had avoided the whiskey's evil effects so far and was able to answer. Hi. Why are you shouting? Mostly. Sorry, I can be there. 5 minutes. Great, see you then. I managed to find my way back to Heidi's. It only took about twice as long as it should have. Hi. Kind of fell through the door. I tried to turn it into a kind of cool dance move, but I don't think it worked. Wait, Trixie, are you drunk? Ugh, seriously? Haha, yup. I tried to do a cool grin, but I'm pretty sure I just looked sleazy. Great, well, better sober up because it's too late to rearrange this mess now. I need you to go make a delivery for me while I meet my supplier. Hope it's not drugs. That'd be very illegal. I giggled to myself for a bit, apparently finding the concept of drug prohibition hilarious. Heidi just shook her head in despair. I realized I need to get my act together. Managed to brute force sobriety for a while. Sorry, Heidi, I'm okay now. I can totally hand over some drugs for you. Easy. Heidi didn't look wholly impressed with my joke. Apparently only I find myself funny when I'm drunk. It's not drugs. Some of the crap we've been sorting. That stuff has, well, it has a very specific clientele, and I sell it in alleyways. Look, don't worry about it too much, okay? I don't have time to mess about. Now, there's something else you'll need. What the fuck is this? What am I? I looked onto the other monitor for like half a second, and I looked back and it's like, what? Oh shit, I clicked the wrong thing. Okay, so explain again why I'm dressed as a pixie or whatever. A pixie? Have you ever seen a pixie before? It doesn't look anything like that. I meant goblin. Oops. I giggled to myself for a moment before calming down again. Behave. Now, Trixie, you're no longer Trixie. In this costume, you're Delia Moonbeam, keeper of the cosmic secrets. Is this your friggin' Dungeons and Fungeons character, Heidi? I started cackling to myself. Heidi seemed a lot less cool and edgy now. Heidi's face was red with embarrassment, but she quickly regained composure and swatted me lightly around the head. Hey, shut the fuck up! Delilah Moonbeam is my illegal antique book-selling alter ego. That way the weirdos who buy this crap can't recognize me and come stalk me. So don't fuck up and let anyone know who you are. Don't fucking tell anyone about this or I'll fucking end you, okay? She sounded pretty serious, so I shut up. Okay, so you're going to want to use a different voice. I usually do a deep, scary one. I wasn't going to do that. Talking in a deep voice made me feel like shit. As unhealthy as it might be, I'll always choose to kill my vocal cords and talk how I want to over my normal voice, or worse, an over-the-top deep one. I figured I'd just talk kind of slowly and weird like a cartoon ghost. You're heading to the alley... Trixie, shut the fuck up! Kids need to learn your alcohol tolerances. I giggled under my breath a little more, but managed to shut up. Okay, as I was saying, you're heading to the alleyway next to Pound Town. Pound Town. That cheap tat shop like 10 minutes from here. Someone will meet you there. You take the payment, then you give them the books, then you leave. Got it? Yeah, I got you. Spooky voice, don't show my face. My name is Delilah Moonbeam. Alleyway, going to Pound Town. Give the books, get the payment. Easy. Heidi didn't look super convinced, but before she could comment, she glanced at the clock. Fuck, you're gonna be late if you don't get going. Just don't muck this up for me, Trixie. Please. I'll pay you well for it when you're back, I promise. Heidi handed me 2 wrapped up books and bundled me out of the door with some vague directions to Pound Town. Wasn't too far from the shop, so even my inebriated state got there pretty quickly. I waited around in the dark alleyway hoping I wasn't late. Just as I was thinking about leaving, I caught sight of movement in the darkness. An odd figure shuffled towards me. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. They forced themselves towards me on clumsy, rigid legs. They wore a heavy hooded cloak which shrouded their face in a darkness from which yellow eyes gleamed towards me. Ah, it's this guy. I've now been reading for like 2 hours straight. I need to get just like a quick sip of like water, maybe a quick bathroom break. So I'm just gonna leave it on the screen here for a few minutes. I guess I'll hit the fucking add button, I guess, so that there limits the chance of the mid-roll ads for a bit. Funny enough, remember how when I was talking about it yesterday, I said that like the explanation from Twitch was like, oh, right now we're just testing it on a small amount of viewers. Well, fucking, it happened to me earlier today. Like, apparently I was a viewer on a Twitch stream, and I was watching someone stream, and then all of a sudden it did the picture-in-picture, and I got the ad thing. And I was like, fuck. So, yeah. I don't know if that's happened to anyone else, but I'll go ahead. I'm not going to be doing anything, obviously. I'll just keep it on the screen. I'm going to get, like, a drink. I'll go to the bathroom real quick. I'll hit the ad. Everyone will be happy. And, you know, we won't have to watch an ad, hopefully, for a while during midstream. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm back. Back with story times with Austin here. Okay, let's get comfortable. So much reading. So much reading from me. I hope someone appreciates it. Destroying my voice. Okay, here I go. This creepy guy. He's buying the book or something. This, I assume, is the same character from the first game from last week. Maybe. Or at least it's related. Okay, the matted figure. Delilah. Their voice was strange. It rasped every sound and cut out suddenly at the end of each phoneme? Phoneme. Sure. It's these people in these fucking hoods. Ooh, I'm Delilah Moonbeam. Ooh. The figure's hooded head jerked up and down. I think it was supposed to be a nod. The figure twitched, almost seeming to collapse briefly before jutting back up. Before I could ask if they were all right, they spoke again. The payment has discussed. The figure shakily and jertingly. No, not. That's not what I wanted. Jertingly. I mean, sure. Okay, whatever. Not a word I'm familiar with. I'm dumb, so. Their arm was covered in matted, dirty wool, parts of which were shedding to reveal what seemed to be deep peck marks. I thought of the abandoned cottage and the clumps of matted wool lying within and shuddered. I thought of the dark stain and the bird feathers lost in a scuffle. A coincidence, surely, but still not something that bore thinking about. Despite their arm ending with a hoof, this creature was clearly no cow. It appeared almost sheep-like, though I knew that was impossible. It dropped what seemed to be several peels and a beautiful sapphire. Inlaid circlet into my outstretched hand. The valuable items sparkled in the starlight. That's that word. I almost thought about stealing them to pay off my student debt, but I'd probably need a few diamonds on top of it to even make a dent in that. Besides, Heidi had a taser. The fucking taser. One which she had neglected to give me for this meeting. Great. I put the treasures into my bag and took out the first package. I gingerly helped the package forward, and the matted figure clumsily took it from my hands. Thank you, friend. And the next... I don't know if that's a good voice, but it is what it is. This matted figure was off-putting. I wanted to get out of here as fast as possible and never see them again. No problem. Spluttered out. I was about to pass them the second package when I felt sick. Drinking that much whiskey had been a mistake. The last thing I needed was to throw up inside that mask. There wasn't anywhere for it to go. I took off the mask and was pleased to find I just needed to burp. I almost yelled, realizing what I'd done. Great! 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 My eyes, maybe, locked with 2 yellow pinpricks under the stranger's hood. I could swear I saw a flash of recognition. I quickly put the mask back on, almost dropping it in my panic. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Oh, God. Let's go This is just ridiculous. This is just stupid. Picking this one's just stupid, you know? I wanted to yelp and run, but I managed to keep my cool, apparently forgetting to put on a voice in the meantime. Okay, right, so you probably think you got me there, but actually, no. For you see, I am wearing 2 masks. Several, actually. This, I tapped the mask smugly, was but a first. It's the old Scooby-Doo multiple mask trick I'm sure you're familiar with, you know? My face was but a second. I mean, my mask was but a second. It isn't my face. Wasn't. I thought that might have worked and swayed on the spot for a bit. My heart dropped. Under the hood, I saw the glint of a malicious smile, and I knew the strange matted figure had not believed me. I was about to hand over the packages and run, but I freaked out, and next thing I knew, I was running down the alleyway, the figure following me with loud stomps of its strange, hard, hoof-like feet. My heart raced. That unnatural creature in the alleyway filled me with dread. Something about their appearance, mannerisms, and even the air around them chilled me to the bone. I threw open the door to Heidi's shop and ran into the office, relieved to see Heidi was already back. You're back already? Good work. I owe you one. Get that costume off and we can go both get some sleep. I took the costume off and packed it away like Heidi had asked. It took my time, but I couldn't pull it off any longer. So, Heidi? There was a little fuck up, and I saw my face. Kinda. What? You showed your face to them? Are you kidding? I gave you a fucking mask. Specifically, so this wouldn't happen. Do you know how much danger you've put us in? You know the people who buy this crap are real psychos, right? Like, completely unhinged. I knew she would be mad, but hearing her sound genuinely afraid surprised me. Just be truthful. Okay, so I explained the entire meeting. Heidi listened and seemed calmed down as I spoke, much to my relief. Sorry for shouting at you, Trixie. I didn't mean to scare you. I have a bit of a temper, and this is serious stuff. Come on, it'll be fine. Let's get you home safe, and we can talk tomorrow when you're feeling better. My motorbike's out front. You can sit in the sidecar. Don't throw up in it, though, because then I'll be pissed. Ha 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 ha. For once, I appreciated the laugh, but I wasn't sure I could promise that. Before we could leave, the front door swung open, and the cool night breeze flooded into the shop. Good evening, friends. I seemed to see the worry on my face. Trixie, is this? I nodded, still stuck to the spot. Couldn't believe I'd let this happen. What the fuck? Heidi pushed me back and growled through bare teeth as she grabbed her rounder's bat. What do you want? The figure jerkily raised their arm and pointed at me. The rat. The book. Leave Trixie the fuck alone and leave, now. The book. Fear lurched forward. Wrong move. Why don't she use the taser? Heidi leapt forward and swung the bat as hard as she could. She clearly had a lot of practice. There was a terrible crack as the figure's arm broke. Cringed at the sound, but was shocked to see them continue their advance. Either they didn't notice their arm was fractured, or didn't care. Heidi threw her bat to the ground and pulled out her taser. She charged the figure and began wrestling with them, but seemed unable to budge them, as if they were carved from solid stone. The book. The book. Return. It looks like the way he's kind of that robed figure's talking, and the way they look, reminds me of the fucking Return the Slab from Courage the Cowardly Dog. And I'm saying that now I'm realizing it's literally just because they're both in like robes but still. Return the slab. Courage the cowardly dog. That's the reference tonight. Get out! Heidi jammed her taser into the cloaked figure's woolen arm, forcing contact between them. The figure pulled away with a start. Heidi fell to the floor in their absence. The wool Heidi had been tasering had ignited. Ooh, fun. A small fire spread up the creature's arm. The matted figure flew out of the door with force, as if yanked off stage by a cane. The shop fell silent. It was a while before Heidi spoke up. Trixie, let's get you home. We can talk about this tomorrow, okay? I nodded. According to Poppygon.com, Cyberjack Cooley Ass from Mars was getting a reboot, so that was cool. Polygon. Cyberbat Razor had a new design, somehow even hotter than the old one. Great. Irrelevant. Sorry again. That was some pretty exciting news, but pretty soon that night took a turn for the worse. I've been worrying about the matted figure all night, but I was pretty sure they hadn't followed me and Heidi to uni. Her bike was pretty fast. Besides, I was in a busy accommodation block. They would have to be pretty brave to follow me here. I calmed down a lot after eating some snacks. Things were going to be okay, I foolishly thought. Eventually, I managed to get to sleep, only to be immediately woken up by knocking at my door. If it was Nikita, she'd be shouting abuse at me by now, so who was it? The matted figure? Trixie, this is important! We need to talk. It's about the King in Yellow. My blood froze. I'd completely forgotten to check up on Nikita. By the sound of it, she'd deteriorated somewhat. I shouted a mess of words at her, my half-asleep mouth barely functioning. The knocking stopped. I managed to get my clothes on and open the door. Trixie, sit with me. She took a seat on my bed, the King in Yellow clutched in her hands. I was taken aback. Nikita always looked faintly repulsed by my hygiene. She would never normally consider touching any of my stuff. Nikita, are you okay? Trixie, shut up. Fine, sit down and listen to me. I already told you this is important. She didn't look fine. She looked even worse than the last time I saw her. I nervously sat down. My eyes were drawn to the closed play. It was only a book, but it seemed to suck the air of the room. I felt cold, confused, scared. Trixie, I finished reading it. It says so much. I can't. You need to read it for yourself to understand. It's just so. I can't explain. My head is maelstrom. But Trixie, my point is I'm in this play. Or I mean, I can tell it's supposed to be me. Trixie, I am the heir to the broken throne. I am the heir to Carcosa. I was dumbstruck. What was Nikita on about? She was a character in some old play? The heir to a fictional city? It was madness. Nikita, I think you need to sleep. You're not making any sense. How about you wait here and I go get Trixie? You are not going to get me sectioned. Don't you dare accuse me of being sick or mad or... We both know I'm smarter than you, so shut up and listen to me. Her eyes bore into me with genuine malice. She was scaring me. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna let her continue. Just ramble on. Okay. I'm sorry, Nikita. I'll listen. She stood up, pacing for a moment, the book still in her hands. Eventually, she stood over me, trying to look tall. I leaned back a little, hoping if she got what she wanted, she would calm down a little. Excuse me. I am the heir to Carcosa, Trixie. At first, I didn't believe, but all the signs are there. I've got this. I've had it since I was born. She pointed at the white freckles on her face. You recognize them, right? The Hyades constellation, the eternal prison of Carcosa. I gazed at Nikita's face. It was hard to be sure, but her markings were definitely familiar. I'd seen them before, in my vision of Carcosa that night in my dreams. I see it. I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't know much about the stars. That seemed to placate Nikita somewhat, but she still seemed pretty unhappy with my lack of certainty. Look, Trixie, just read the play. It's not just the markings, there's so much. I know she didn't give any examples. Nikita dragged my desk over to the bed, screeched across the floor, but I didn't want to stop her. She sat down next to me again and placed the King in Yellow on the desk. Read, please. You'll understand. I looked down at the play. Ever since I'd first laid eyes on the book, I'd been at the back of my mind. I'll read that again. Ever since I'd first laid eyes on it, the book had been at the back of my mind. Okay. I wanted to read it. I carefully reached out and ran my hand across the cover. It was cold. Open it, Trixie. We don't have forever. Opened the King in Yellow. I don't have another option. So I'm gonna go ahead, save, cool. A lot of time passed. Initially, I was disinterested. Nikita had obviously been skimping on sleep. A play written over a century ago did not reference her. It could not. Strangely, I remember little to nothing of the play's contents. It seemed to pass through my mind like wind. But while I remember little, in my mind I still see the black stars hanging in the sky, the rolling clouds breaking against the dread galleys of the Imperial Navy and the terrible remains of the broken throne. When Nikita saw me finish Act 1, she spoke for the first time since we had opened the play. Do you see it yet? Do you see me? No, Nikita, there's never even any mention of an heir, or you or anything. It's just... Jeez, I don't even know how to describe it. What is this? What are you saying? You can't see me? Can't you read? Give it back. She wrestled me for the book. My desk toppled over in the struggle. I needed the play. It was mine now. Give it to me, Nikita. I realized I let go to shout at her. I quickly grabbed it again, but it was too late. Nikita shoved me and I tumbled to the floor. As I fell through the air, I caught a glimpse of the first line of the second act. In that moment, I saw only a blur of ink scrawled onto a yellowed page. I'm not even sure I truly read it, but it left an imprint in my mind nevertheless. More than anything else that happened in the next few days, no matter how bad it got, nothing compared to this. If I could destroy all memories of this year, my new friends, my education, even my transition, I would. The opening to the second act of The King in Yellow was terrible, unlike anything imaginable. I hit the ground with a thud. My head spun and my vision blurred. A feeling of dread, the likes of which I had never known, hit me like a gunshot. My head felt light, and as I raised my hands to indicate my surrender, they shook, as if I was about to faint. What I read in that book stays with me even to this day, and I have no intention to repeat it here, lest rereading it bring me new, more terrible insights. That line changed everything. Nikita was right. The broken throne belonged to her. You believe me now, don't you, Trixie? Never doubt me again. I saw Nikita grab a sharp knife out of my desk. It wasn't super sharp, but I had no intention of finding out whether it could cut skin, and shuffled across the floor away from Nikita. Now get out! Get out of here! I never should have let you read this. You don't deserve it. But this is my room. Small semblance of normalcy returned to Nikita's face. She seemed to have snapped out of her fury. Need to use this chance to calm her down. Oh, geez. Options. Trying to distract her from the course. Broke down and cried. Okay, I don't like this. I don't like the last option either. Told Nikita I was wrong and tried to calm her down, or brought up the student union election. Give me the election. That's gonna be good. Nikita, wait. What about your election stuff? Running around with weapons attacker? You think I care about student politics? You saw my calling inked into that page, Trixie. Whether you want to admit it or not, you know. Have always known where I was headed. To Carcosa, to the broken throne. My head hurt at the mention of the Forsaken City. Surely Nikita couldn't truly intend to sit upon its throne. Look, Trixie, you had your chance to join me as my underling. But it's clear the decay of this world, its silly parties and fun have ruined you. You could have shined as bright as the twin suns. Disappointing. She took off, running from my room with the play and her weapon. I was left alone on the floor, a trembling mess. I scrambled for the door and managed to lock it, my head hurt, thudding in my chest as my mind tossed and turned like the dread fleet at anchor. I should have been more worried about Nikita. She was clearly a danger to herself and others. But all I could think about was the King in Yellow. I only remember parts of the night that followed. My mind raced almost non-stop. Every now and again I'd fall asleep, only to wake up elsewhere in my room. At some point my phone buzzed. Nikita was messaging me. Why didn't you believe me, Trixie? You had your chance to serve me at the foot of the broken throne and rule the city of decay. Why did you have to ruin it? The king's tattered hand will guide me and me alone through the path you made for me. The twin skulls will guide me to twin suns, the night that never ends under the pale moon, under the black stars, under the bleeding sky. It's weird how like some of these letters are like cut off, like at like the baseline. So like, and then they go boop. This is what I was meant to be always. I was meant to be the ruler I was meant to be. Do not be scared, Trixie. You know this is right. You know this is the way things are supposed to be. You know I am kind. I will not allow the king to harm you when the gate opens. I promise. Continued in that manner for a long time. Maybe hundreds of messages from Nikita, all completely incomprehensible. She seemed set on sitting upon the broken throne underneath the rotten spire of Carcosa. Nikita had a weapon. She was unstable. I thought about how she had spoken earlier that night. It had scared me. I needed help, but who would believe me? I didn't want to burden Heidi with it. She had enough on her plate already, thanks to me. There was the police. I didn't like them, but maybe they were my only hope. Fuck the police, man. I thought back to my argument with Nikita the other day. She was right. They wouldn't care then. They wouldn't care now. I gave up. This is my problem to deal with alone. The most distinct, terrifying moment I recall was at maybe 4 a.m. I was lying awake when I noticed a figure stood at my door, tall, robed, and stood perfectly still. I held my breath, and shut my eyes. I don't know how long they were shut, but eventually I opened them again. My breathing was ragged as I focused. There was no one there. The King in Yellow had left. I shivered. I was being watched. Nikita had a guardian. Eventually I managed some small amount of restful sleep, an hour or two at most. When I awoke, I could remembered what happened with Nikita all too well. I could remember reading The King in Yellow. But after that, nothing. Parts of it seemed to be a dream, or my imagination, or something worse. There was no wall between reality and madness. I couldn't trust anything. But I knew Nikita was dangerous. I knew she was headed to the broken throne. Quite what that meant, I didn't know, but I had to stop her. If Nikita unlocked the white gates of Hali and walked through, what could walk back out? Despite my fatigue, I somehow remembered that I needed to change my estrogen patch today. Desperate to retain some degree of normalcy, I decided to get on top of that. I've been skimping on my anti-androgen tablets too. No wonder I was a mess. My hormones were all over the place. I downed one, hoping to keep my testosterone in check. With dark thoughts still swirling in my head, I managed to stagger over to my bathroom mirror. As usual, the edges of my patch were coated in gray gunk. Gross. Peeled the sticky patch off. And as usual, I looked like shit. I needed a hot shower. Maybe it would wash away the storm of thoughts in my mind, along with the gross eye gunk clinging to my face. I spent most of it curled up under the water, the hot water masking my tears. It woke me up, but I didn't feel any better. After the shower, I slapped a new patch on my ear. You're meant to put them below the waist, but I don't want to shave an area for me, so I'm assuming it'll be fine. I haven't died yet. By the time I was ready to face the world, it was already pretty late. I needed to do something. After last night, the last thing I wanted was to be trapped inside with my mind all day. Heidi probably didn't want me to come down till about 5 as normal. Thought I'd shoot her a message and check. She phoned back. Hey, I said don't do messages. I like to be able to shout. She grinned scarily. I don't know how I knew that through the phone. I was just about to say, how would you know she grinned through the phone? It wasn't any funny business last night, right? After you got home? Thought it'd be best not to bring up the King in Yellow, Nikita, or any other events from last night. No, it was fine, basically. Fine? Basically? You don't sound too sure, Trixie. No, I'm okay. I spilled juice on myself and got sticky. It was wild. A real tragedy. I'm really clean now, though. Like a baby. Like a baby? I don't know what that even meant. Sounds terrible. Ha, 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 ha. Hope you're doing okay now, though. I was glad my anxiety of using phones was overriding my fear. I didn't want to put all the shit with Nikita on Heidi, not when we were already dealing with the matted figure. I'm fine. I'll come down at like 4-ish, yeah? Sure. I'll just be using a broom to get the crow that lives in the vending machine out of all afternoon. They've been pretty loud recently and I'm sick of it. See you later, bitch. Bitch. Without a T. Bick. Wait, what? The line went dead. I fucked about online for a while, desperate not to think too hard about last night. Eventually I ended up at Heidi's. There were a lot of black feathers lying around, the signs of an ancient battle between crow and hyena. Hey Trixie, got here just in time to help me clean up the remains of the cozy, calm crow. Not that the name suited them, the violent fucker. She nursed some peck marks on her face. Oh, wait, remains? You didn't kill them, right? Heidi flashed her teeth at me. No, of course not. We just had a disagreement and they got their feathers all ruffled. They're meant to be shop security. I don't let them eat vending machine snacks all day in return for nothing. They weren't exactly much help last night. Can move back in once they promise to peck the eyes out of my enemies. Come on, help me clean this up. Spent the next half an hour picking up an entire bird's worth of feathers. Cozy Calm Crow was lucky it was so warm out. Nice work, Trixie. Ready to do some actual work now? Yeah, I guess. More sorting through ancient treasures? Arty junk would be more accurate. None of this shit is actually real, remember? I hoped for Heidi's sake the stuff wasn't real, but after eating the King in Yellow, I wasn't so sure I believed her. So, about last night. Huh? Kinda thinking it was a one-off. I gave that creep a pretty nasty seeing to with the taser, right? I didn't think we'd have to worry about them. We were just kind of freaked out last night and got worked up. Weirdo was probably just some junkie, you know? You can keep an eye out, but I think we're fine. I wasn't entirely sure I believed that, but I trusted Heidi's judgment. Oh god. Yawning. She had been in this business longer than me. Oh sure, that makes sense I guess. I still couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the matted figure than just a weirdo and drugs. Come on Trixie, let's get to work. We got sorting. I remain amazed by quite how much stuff Heidi had hoarded. But if she could sell each thing for as much as the matted figure had handed me yesterday, I didn't blame her. Where did you actually get this stuff from? The magic car boot sale? I have a supplier, secret one. You won't meet them. I buy crap from them and then I sell it on. Think of them like a weirdo wholesaler. I considered asking if Heidi could get hold of some kind of Nikita calming amulet, but decided I didn't want to go into all of that. We sorted for a while. Heidi kept checking the time. I think she could tell I noticed and felt the need to explain. I have Moonbeam business to attend to tonight. Some loser wants a book called Where the Strange Things Are by Elaria de Vonenboer, or some crap. Moonbeam business? Are you sure that's a good idea after last night? It'll be fine. I can look after myself. Bad timing, really. Belle's been trying to get me to the bar tonight. She seems pretty desperate for contact whenever I've seen her recently. Told her I have to go apologize to the CEO of Crowbar Inc. after sending the corporation some arson threats. She believed it. That's an interesting lie. Hey, That was all true, except the bit about the apology. The corporation took out a restraining order on me instead. I just need an excuse to not be able to go out tonight, you know? As we sorted through Heidi's stock, I noticed her mask on the desk. When I'd seen it before, I hadn't thought much of it. Perhaps the alcohol had distracted me, but looking at it now, the mask was faintly ominous. The fur on the back of the neck stood on end, and memories of a masquerade in the Imperial Palace floated through my mind. Memories of Casilda. Where'd you get that mask from, Heidi? Looks really expensive. Heidi looked at me quizzically. No, I made it myself in an afternoon. Smashed up some plates, glued it to an old mask from my theater days, and sprinkled some sequins on it. Looks fucking stupid, sure, but at night with a hood on, it's vaguely spooky, and it stops the kind of weirdos who buy my stuff from recognizing me, so it does the job fine. Oh. I wasn't sure I believed that. I could see the guilt on Heidi's face. She was lying. I didn't want to push her on it, but something about that mask remained deeply troubling. For in its ruby eye, I could see 1,000 reflections of Carcosa. Heidi's phone rang. She pushed me out of the office and into the shop. Sorry, Trixie. Secret phone call. The door slammed behind me. It sounded like a gunshot. I tapped my fingers on the desk until Heidi re-emerged a few minutes later. Okay, so my supplier's totally fucking me. Oh, good for you. No, not like that. They rescheduled our meeting again. I need to go meet them tonight, but I already have that other meeting to attend to. What? Are you sure this isn't like a trick? Nah, my supplier's just useless. Such a floozy. Look, would you be okay with, like, going out and making a sale for me? Can't I meet the supplier instead? Last time I tried to make a sale for you, well, it didn't go so great. My supplier's very secretive. They wouldn't show if I wasn't there. Look, I feel really bad asking you to do this after all last night, but, it'd be real hard to rearrange meeting any supplier. Or my supplier. I'll give you the taser and the bat. If anything seems off, you just get out of there, right? Sure. It's okay, though. I'm sure I'll be fine. You showed that weirdo who was boss when you broke their arm and set fire to them, right? They won't fuck with Delia Moonbeam again. That or they would be hell-bent on revenge, I thought. I waited in the same spot as yesterday, shivering in the cold night air as I held another wrapped book in my hands. I quickly checked my phone, which I'll admit broke character a little. Whoever I was meeting was late. I was considering leaving when a shadow appeared at the end of the alleyway. What the fuck? They clearly weren't the figure from yesterday. They were probably about half their height and wore a cardboard box on the head with what I hazard to call a scary face drawn on it. Is this, They approached me nervously. Hello, I am Delia Moonbeam. Ooh. Ah! I screamed as the disguised figure leapt at me, taking me by surprise. I fell against the cold floor and blacked out. I must have woken up a few minutes later. Fortunately, I didn't seem too badly hurt. In fact, I'm pretty certain I fell asleep because I was tired. Delilah's hood was surprisingly pillow-like. The alley was deserted, but the book was gone. I knew it must have been some kind of lackey for the matted figure. Who knew how many more were out there that might try to hurt me? I had to get back to Heidi now. I could only hope she was already back from her meeting. I sprinted through the dark streets. They seemed deserted until I ran up against a group of cloak-wearing strangers, their dark hoods hiding their faces. I screamed. They had been sent by the matted figure. I knew it. I shoved one of them, my weak little arms doing little to push them. I turned and fled the way I'd came. I needed to take a longer route, shake them off my tail. It was a long while before I realized I wasn't being pursued. I kept running anyway. I have no idea how. Usually my legs stop working after about 5 meters. But not this time. I was terrified. I just need to get back. I burst through the shop door. Heidi was already there, replacing the use by dates on some tin food with new stickers. Heidi! Jeez, Trixie, are you okay? Where were you? You should have been back ages ago. I had to catch my breath. I was chased. I had to lose the chasers. You were? What? Trixie, what happened? Look, just go get changed. I'll keep an eye out. I shakily got out of the outfit in the office and returned to Heidi, somewhat calmer. I was attacked. Again. Someone, the person I met, they jumped me. They must have been sent by our new friend. Fucking jeez. Heidi paced around the room, stopping briefly to put up a box of pineapple snapples I clicked on accident, out of sheer anger. And you're sure it was them? Or one of their helpers or whatever? I only now considered that there wasn't actually any proof it was one of the matted figure's helpers. Well, no, I'm not sure. I just assumed... I mean, has this happened before? Never twice in a row. You're right, this is too weird. It must be related. Fuck's sake. She continued pacing. I was too shaken to speak. This is getting out of hand. I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. Right, I'm going to implement Eclipse Contingency. Torching any crap that doesn't look valuable and moving the rest somewhere safe so I can lay low. I've noticed Heidi seemed to use anything as an excuse to torch stuff. I'll pack this junk up and burn it tomorrow. Want to lift back to your place again? I did. I need to get some sleep. I should have started doing something about Nikita, but I was way too tired. Hopefully my exhaustion would stop me from thinking too hard about the matted figure and the king in yellow. That night, I dreamt of the basement on Daffodil Lane. I was crumpled on the floor, blood stained the fur on my side and covered my hands. Through blurry eyes, I could make out Nikita. She was saying something to me, but her voice was too muffled and distorted to make out. She seemed smug, so no change there. After a seemingly endless monologue, she threw her hand skywards, and with a flash of white light and a splash of cold cloud spray, a white gate opened at the far end of the room. The white gate of Carcosa. I shivered as the chill rolled off of Lake Halley. After giving me a last pitiful look, Nikita stepped through the gate, leaving me alone in the cold basement. For a moment, nothing happened. A strange calm came over me. This wonderful solitude was cut short. Far from the white gate emerged the cloaked visage of the king in yellow. Their tattered rags billowed in the increasing wind, floating like the tentacles of some terrible deep-sea creature. They stared ahead, before peering down at me with a slow turn of their head, looking right at me, right into me. I blacked out, and when I awoke, I found myself elsewhere. Me and Heidi were hiding in her shop. I wasn't sure why at first, but as I peeked above one of the displays, I saw objects shift and move around the room. A golden mist surrounded them. On the floor lay what seemed to be a cloaked corpse. It took me a moment to recognize the shape of the matted figure. I ducked as a wrench was tossed through the air towards me by the malevolent force that had taken over the shop. I went to say something to Heidi, but before I could open my mouth, she was yanked from her hiding place by some unseen hand and pulled into the shop. I yelled and foolishly ran out of my hiding place, straight to the matted figure. I turned and ran. The figure took chase. I could hear them crash through the shop behind me. I yelled. My foot tripped on a pile of crowbars. I fell to the floor with a horrible crunch as the figure's dark shadow bore over me. I plunged back into consciousness and awoke, screaming and shaking. My eyes darted around the room. I was alone. Everything was as it should be. I was exhausted as ever, as was my life now. After last night's dream, I was more intent than ever to simply let my problems slip from my mind. Boop, 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 boop. I was about to message Heidi, but remembered she would probably prefer I call, so she could yell at me if she felt like it. Sup, Trixie? Hey, I was wondering if you wanted to come down today and give you a hand. You're burning stuff, right? I like burning things a lot, so I'm definitely qualified for that role. Haha, sorry to disappoint you, Miss Arsonist, but I'm putting off Eclipse Contingency for a day. Got a court appearance to deal with the whole arson threat thing I did, which I guess makes me Little Miss Arsonist. Don't tell anyone I call myself Little Miss. Ha ha. Ooh ha ha. I have a taser. I have a taser. Oh no, that's a pain. Well, have fun with that, I guess. Will do. You take care, okay? Okay, but... Oh. She'd hung up early again. I sighed. With nothing to distract me there, was nothing else for it. I'd have to face up to Nikita. Right on cue, there was a knock at my door. Trixie Glimmer Smith, open up! I gulped. Just what I needed. She was knocking pretty loud. Maybe she was planning to break in and kill me with whatever weapon she'd gotten hold of today. I knew the knocking would attract unwanted attention if it continued. I couldn't bring more people into this mess. Nikita was my problem to deal with. I opened the door, accepting my fate. Trixie, have you seen my cardigan anywhere? As much as I'd loathe to admit it. You've been to Daffodil Lane, haven't you, Nikita? I could tell she had. She kept sniffing as she was dealing with some allergies. Something seemed to click in her, as if she only just remembered what she had been doing all night. Has she totally forgotten about our fight? Well, you might think that, but I couldn't possibly comment. Heh, you think you're pretty smart, don't you, Trixie? But no, I wasn't there, idiot. Look, Nikita, I'm going to stop you. I won't let you hurt yourself. And more importantly, possibly me. Oh, Trixie, you're far too late for that. I already have the exact position of the intersection between our worlds and the White Gate. The book Reaching Other Worlds was most illuminating. The midpoint between the 3 standing stones in this county, the cottage of Daffodil Lane. I need only bide my time and wait. And then the throne will be mine. Wait, silence, wretch. I have already said too much. Such to say my ideals have been vindicated, while you gawped at ghost hentai I studied in the library. Your fate is of your own making, Trixie. Maybe you should just accept that I've won. I will sit on the throne, not you. But I don't want to sit on the throne. Nikita, you need to... You're not making sense. Silence. 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 You've read what I have. You know what I speak is gospel. The throne is mine. She took off, running back to wherever she came from. Not being hugely athletic, she seemed to run out of breath before the end of the hallway, where she slinked off, panting. At least this had confirmed it. Nikita had a plan. I sighed and... Signed? I sighed. Maybe it should be an H. Realizing it was up to me to stop her. What was it Nikita had said about Daffodil Lane? It sat in the midpoint of 3 standing stones. Was that true? It didn't sound at all right. Checked out the map on my wall. Nikita was right. The cottage of Daffodil Lane. The place this had all started was at the direct center of the standing stones. More or less, anyway. Maybe if you accounted for tectonic movement stuff. But it was close enough. I gasped. Nikita was right. She needed only wait and... Wait and what? Nikita had no idea what she planned to do with this information. She had mentioned the library. Of course, Nikita was always in the library, so that was no surprise. But perhaps there was a way to stop her hidden in his thousands of books. Might be my only chance. I had to read books. Okay. I think this would be a good place to stop. I did say I wanted this to be like a multi-night thing. It's looking like it's probably going to be just 2 nights. We'll probably in one more night be able to see whatever the conclusion to this is, and then also blast through and see the other like potential paths where we're not just hanging out with Heidi a bunch. So I assume it'll only be like one more night for the finale to this very strange game, very strange story, but I'm intrigued nonetheless. So yeah, I'll hold off on finishing this. I mean, to be completely honest, there's probably not that much more until the finale, but like I said, I'd rather do, instead of just plowing through for another however long and trying to get to it, I'd rather break it up just into 2 nights. So we'll do that. No stream tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. Plenty of streams there on the YouTube though, if you want to catch up on anything. And I'll be back Friday night. I should be back Friday night, assuming all goes according to plan. Not sure what I'll do Friday night though. I would imagine probably not finishing this. I'd probably want to wait a bit, but maybe, who knows? Maybe in the 2 days from now, or from now till then, I'll be like, nah, I need to see the ending of this. So, we'll see. Something Friday night though. I'm surprised I know yesterday, Tuesday night, I was saying, I kept thinking today was Saturday. Or today was... I've got all the days mixed up. I know yesterday, Tuesday stream, I was thinking that all day Tuesday was Wednesday. And now today's Wednesday, and I keep thinking it's Tuesday. It's all just horrid. So yeah. I will, now this screen makes slightly more sense. I always looked at this like, I don't know what this is gonna be. But yeah. Okay. Play Parsnip. Play Parsnip. Okay. I will be back 2 days time. Off Thursday. Take it easy. And maybe see you later.